thinking. Sometimes I think about, does love still exist? Yeah, I have my doubts. On the street, I check out how brothers be living. Yo, let's just say, kid, it ain't no Thanksgiving. We got people shooting dope, ain't never heard of hope. We got others with the gat and the brothers with the fucking scope. As I enter the project center rec rooms, some brothers might see the doom. I see my nigga Paulo, fat pockets of papes. He knows the neighborhood biddies with all the dopest shapes. They go Dralo with the blowout fro. He's got a gat, hey yo niggas gots to go. No show is live with narrating, fuck Memorex. My nigga Rollo's got a gat at Paulo's chest. One slug blasted out, down boy died. Now show me some love, kid, it sounds like a fucking
yes, you
lie.
know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Sometimes I think how the world come to this, a place where every man and woman needs a therapist. Mass confusion, people living in delusion, justify all the bullshit through the Constitution. Meanwhile, the masses struggle to survive. I think we're too busy to hear our people's cries. Singles mothers struggle to raise families. Genocide committed through famine and disease. I wonder if these things will ever cease to exist. I know it could if we cease and desist. Giving all the power to the industrialists, giving all our power to the damn commercialists. They see us just as being sheep in this world. They want us to do what we're told, like boys and girls. Oh God, I wanna live another day so I can help provide equality
and
this
yes, you
day.
know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Everybody round the globe, open up your earlobe, your third eye, and then decipher the code. Through knowledge, understanding, then bring love into the concept instead of bling bling. Truth instead of biased educational methods. Twisting, contorting God's message of love for every human being. Listen, motherfucker, don't you hear the screams? It's time to do much more than talk, debate, and spread hate. We need to think and at the same time investigate. Understand what our actions may create. Before continuing the cycle we procreate. We can clone humans, but at the same time we can't feed humans. The future of man is actually looming. It's really depressing, it's true.
And yes, you know the struggle goes on. People trying to survive, hold on. But we know it's been so long. Pain without a limit, so wrong.
Babies looking for food, starvation, the recipe, people subdued. When the people you trust got it in for you. Deceit is the word of the day and every clue. Don't let it go, it's from the days of old. Time is up, but some still do not know. Can I make up my mind, is it worth the dime? Do I have to take a minute just to make it mine? Life's never fair, but don't listen to the TV. Go out and take a listen to the streets, with the people in the slums and the homeless bums, with degrees and degrees sitting under a tree. It's not easy in the world for the poor man, the one that brought you to reality. See, they don't want you to know about the black sheep. Leaving 7 roads to the 12 families all around the globe with an ancient code. Is it really asking a lot to say a death old? Cause we sitting on the earth looking back at extinct, and I'm standing on some ground that's about to sink. I ain't scared for a minute, I ain't about to blink, but I documented for the world what I see and think. Feel we on the call and I feel we on the brink. All Congress gonna do is waste paper and ink. Vote or die, you voted and you'll die. You can have it both ways, can't say it's a lie. You can march all you want, but they playing you wrong. They only understand war, it's the same old song.
They want war, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. War, all they really want is a war. Diversionary tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
Like a load lotus coming out of the mud with colors. I create envy in those with power but jealous. I unify the poor with my song, the hell with the others. Descended the way they treat indigenous brothers. Cause I understand we link forever. They try to hate us even though that we keep it together. I'm not talking about controlling the air or the weather. I'm talking about maintaining the truth, the high endeavor. A rebel drops bombs in the midst of trouble. The free world counterattack and now there's double. But nature gets the shit in a way that's subtle. If you stop the machines for a minute you might hear, but they won't cause the TVs whisper in the ear. And capitalism has eyes that don't tear, and they cloud up and get crazy and won't stare. And like an ab, it's hard to get an ass to listen. Living like this is like living in prison. It's hard to keep hope when you're living in prison. The spiritual thoughts, so yes, the mental prison. The outside, yes, it's got to get through. Something's gotta die so something here can live. Your life is nothing if you got nothing to give. Keeping the spiritual, yes, disguised as religion. Controlling your mind, the mental prison.
They want war. All they really want is a war. Diversion, every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war. All they really want is a war. Diversion, every tactic to make the big score. The diamonds in the morning, you know they want more, but they wanna keep you low, so they manifest the war.
How's everybody doing this morning? Wow, you know, it is, what is it, 0925, February 1st, the 1st of February, and that would make, that's Central European time, that would make it 0326 Eastern Standard Time USA, and Pacific time, what is that, between 1226 midnight and 0126 on the Pacific time, Arizona, right? So what's up to everybody? Wow, you know, Dennis, I see you in the chat. Yeah, yesterday I didn't even have a chance to talk about it because I had my guest on yesterday, but yesterday was a huge day for you know, solidarity in Denmark, and you know, which is almost, I mean, actually it's a good day for solidarity across the Western world, because number one, there were demonstrations everywhere. There was demonstrations everywhere across the Western world, man. There were demonstrations you know, just in every city. Washington, D.C., New York, Philadelphia, California. I mean, every major city across the country, and then towns, you know. People are sick of goddamn Trump. People are sick of Trump. And the beautiful thing about it is that everybody knows what their problem is. Their problem is Trump. And people just flat out say it. They don't got a problem saying it. They don't have a problem expressing it. They know that life is different when you have Trump in power. And it is what it is. If people don't like it, again, MAGA people, one thing MAGA people are good about is putting their foot down on the same topic, on the same message. They're MAGA, that's how you know it's contrived, and it's not really, it's not natural, right? Because who does that with just perfection over and over and over and over and over? With, you know, and that is the one thing MAGA does. They're attack dogs. So online, their message is going to be the same. Sow seeds of doubt. You can't do this. I don't believe Elon. I don't believe, you know, Ilhan Omar, but I believe Elon Musk, the Social Security check stealer. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, they have they're just criminals basically, and they don't care about right and wrong and fairness in their eyes, in MAGA eyes. Obviously, the ends justify the means. So look, if there has to be a Holocaust, that's just what's going to happen in their ideas. And if they have to trick people into participating in a Holocaust, that's just how it's going to be. It doesn't matter how they get to that point. Doesn't matter who they harm. In fact, they can hurt their own mothers and fathers and their kids too, by the way. And that is what they actually do. That's what they actually do, man. It's crazy. And and they made it clear, look, people are going to get hurt. We don't care about civility. We don't care about honesty. And then the crazy thing is, in retrospect, everyone else is responding differently. Other people are responding like they care, message of caring, solidarity, a message of, how can I say this? Respect for different, countries even. Isn't that amazing? People are going out of their way. Respect for different countries, man. Respect for different cultures of people even. I mean, that is what's being said. And, and I even heard that yesterday in the demonstration over here. I was amazed. And we talked a lot about the shared values, actually, of Danes and Americans. We talked about that. That was a big part of it. And when you hear MAGA, you don't hear no shared values. Isn't that ironic? It's the exact opposite. Man, MAGA people from America have no respect for Danes. That's one thing you need to understand. And I'm sure you do, Dennis, because you listen to their rhetoric all the time and you see it online. You see this game. This game is about splitting up NATO. This game is about giving power to people that help break up NATO, essentially. So if you can divide people, they will help you. That's what their game is all about. Unifiers won't get that, that help from that same group. Unifiers won't get that help. But dividers will get help. They will get help online, and they will get help through all other means.
Denmark offered strong support to the United States.
Everyone else,
immediately joining the international.
Everyone else is pretty much on their own, right? That's kind of how it works, and you got to figure out the rest for yourself. And it is what it is. Hold on, let me get this up here, and I want to give you an example of that because people do need to hear what was said at the demonstration yesterday. And by the veterans, right? So it was a veterans march. So it was organized by veterans and families of veterans, right here in Denmark. And then we did our demonstration in front of the American embassy, and then we were joined. So our demonstration started at about can I get this off of here? Yeah, our demonstration started at about what time did it start? It started at 12 o'clock. I'm sorry. And then what came after? Then after, did I get this up here right? What's going on? And then after, I think it was 1:15. Then, from 1 o'clock, they started marching from Castellel, which is down the street. Maybe it takes about 15 minutes to come from there in Osterbro over to the American embassy, right? And so then they showed up, and then the crowd got even bigger, and then the crowd got huge. It got giant. It just turned into a humongous crowd at that point because I see what I'm doing. I'm sorry, I'm doing this wrong. Here we go. It's this one. Sorry about that, y'all. Let me just pull this up real quick. Is this right? What is going on here? Is this right? Okay, I see. I have it. I can show it from here. I got it. I don't know why that didn't come up right from here, man. That's so weird. I have to kind of reset it. Is that it? Here we go. All right, so we could do it like this. Now, if you listen to the message here was all solidarity, right? It was no type of misunderstanding about what is going on. So let's hear what they had to say. And then we're going to go into some other stuff, Don Lemon and all of this crazy shit with Epstein. So here we go. Let's listen closely. And this is right. I'm right there, right? right there, and the crowd is huge. But let's see here.
Response after NATO Article 5 was activated. We heard your call and deployed forces to Afghanistan and later to Iraq, demonstrating our unwavering commitment to alliance and shared values. Since 2001, more than 27,000 Danish servicemen and women have served in U.S. and NATO-led operations in Iraq and Afghanistan. Over 200 Danish soldiers have been wounded in action, and 52 have made the ultimate sacrifice. Most of these casualties occurred during active combat operations. Their dedication and bravery underscore Denmark's deep commitment to our shared mission and to the enduring partnership between our nations. In the Helmand province in Afghanistan, Denmark became the Bedford of NATO. Denmark suffered the worst losses per capita of any of the NATO countries that answered the call of duty. A call of duty which Denmark has always been ready and willing and able to respond to. Let's also remember the many Danish Americans who have fought and fallen in every war America has prosecuted since 1776. Their sacrifices, alongside those of Danish soldiers and heroes who never returned home, are testament to the enduring bond between our nations and shared values we defend together. Denmark has always stood side by side by the United States, and we have showed the world in the world's crisis zones when the United States has asked us to. We felt let down and ridiculed by the Trump administration, which is deliberately disregarding Denmark's combat side by side with the United States of America.
So you see
words
right
cannot
there. You see right there. They let it be known very, very simply, that that this issue, their problem, is the Trump administration. And Danes are very aware of American politics. They're very aware of the different political parties. They're very aware of the social conditions that Americans live in. They're very aware of of the amount of homelessness. They're very aware of the fact that everyone isn't afforded the right to attend higher education. They're very aware that everyone in the United States is not afforded the right to health care or elder care, these kind of things. Danes know a lot. I think it's Americans that know a little bit far too less about Denmark, given its relationship with the U.S. And I think you will find that is typical, sadly enough, of a lot of Americans, particularly this MAGA breed. It's more the MAGA breed. They are not encouraged to know what their country is involved in, or who their country works with, how the workings of the country really work, or other countries, because if they knew more about their relationship with Denmark, they would know how preposterous it is to invade Greenland. They would know that Greenlanders have health care. Every Greenlander has health care and every American doesn't. They would know key things. But when you tell these MAGA people this shit, they still refuse to wake the fuck up. Okay, how are you going to be fucked up yourself and try to preach to someone else about what's going to be better? It doesn't make any sense. And see, Danes have never preached to Americans. They've never come out there and said, your way of life makes no motherfucking sense in America. It's so funny. Exactly. Do I mean Iceland? Well, that's what Trump fucking said too. He said it 10 times. Iceland, Iceland, Iceland. So Danes don't go that far. Now, they may not understand why all Americans still don't choose to have universal health care like most Europeans do. They may not understand it, but they don't ridicule it. MAGA people ridicule health care and social services. They totally ridicule it, and they celebrate billionaires hoarding wealth. It's the exact opposite in Denmark. In Denmark, you have a couple billionaires, no problem. You have industry, they have industry. And even if you're not a super duper richest billionaire on earth, doesn't mean you don't have rolling industry. It doesn't mean you don't have a bumping economy. Denmark has a bumping economy. It's moving. You see what I mean? And it has vast tentacles across the world. You know, it's so funny, man. Socialist is what they call it. And they don't even realize, man, Denmark's not a socialist country. Denmark has, just like the United States, has a socialized military, meaning everyone pays into it, right? Meaning it's 100% paid for by the taxpayer alone. Denmark has socialized projects, but they have a capitalist engine of free and open trade, but they have projects in it. If the project is extremely important to every individual taxpayer, that is when they will make sure it's being operated and funded correctly and operated correctly, by the way, to make sure managed correctly, to make sure everyone has fair and equal access. That's a difference. And what they do is try to boogeyman people into socialism. I keep telling people, it's only three socialist countries left on earth. North Vietnam, which you don't want to be. They don't have a booming economy. North Korea, you know, what the fuck, man? No freedom at all. That's totally different. Socialist countries, everybody gets paid the same salary. That's not Denmark. Everybody doesn't get paid the same salary when they go to work in Denmark. What the fuck? You know? So Denmark has socialist. This is how I describe it anyway. Denmark has socialist projects. It's called a social democracy. It's not democracy. It's not called a socialist country. And it's up to American citizens to know these things. You know what I'm saying? It's up to us to know this stuff. Not let a bunch of politicians that want to hoard all the money for the billionaires tell us what it is. And the media, the legacy media, is to blame. They are supposed to push back, not even push back. They're supposed to explain what the differences are. They're supposed to inform, and they don't inform. And so you have a situation where Danes are very aware of what the United States is. Americans are totally unaware of what Denmark is. It's like Americans are totally unaware of what the fuck Canada is. It's like, you know, it's crazy, man. You know, look, socialism equals communism in the MAGA mind. Man, these MAGA people, they share a lot of things connected to communism now. They just don't realize it. Look at how they act. Look at how they behave. You see what I mean? Look at what their whole thing is. You know what I mean? Communists have a good game because they like to pretend like, no, everyone's just the same. Everyone's just the same. But that kills the competition within the market. That kills the work ethic. There needs to be some differences. You need to get paid for your expertise versus just you starting off like this and getting your feet wet a little bit. You know, there needs to be some differences, and there needs to be competition in the market. My product is better than yours, and I sell it for this price, or I'm competing. I can get you a better thing for less. There needs to do that. It needs to be that way to keep the economy turning, to keep it booming. You know, but you can have socialized projects in there that are important. Education and healthcare are not bad projects to get right. You know what I'm saying? And that's what Denmark does. They do it. They get it more righter than the U.S. by far with these things. And you know, but MAGA, on the other hand, you know, they take it to communism and shit, and they just like got a bunch of fat oligarchs sitting back there claiming everybody should get paid the same and all of this bullshit, when really they eating high off the hog. So it's a total, just hot mess, man. But in any case, let's hear some more. You notice here, he didn't say America. He said Trump. They're against Trump. This is what they're against, and they understand what they're saying when they say it. So let's hear it again real quick.
Let down and ridiculed by the Trump administration.
Let down.
Which is
let down. They felt let down and ridiculed by the Trump administration.
Deliberately disregarding Denmark's combat side by side with the United States of America. Words cannot describe how much it hurts us that Denmark's contribution and sacrifice in the fight for democracy, peace, and freedom are being forgotten in the White House. Words cannot explain how much it hurts us that the Trump administration clearly disrespects the Kingdom of Denmark's sovereignty and the Greenland people right to self-determination. Words cannot express the feelings we have for our American brothers in arms and how much we hope that we one day may again stand together, shoulder to shoulder. To honor the memory of the 52 Danish heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice fighting shoulder to shoulder with their American brothers in arms, we solemnly read out each of their names. For each fallen warrior, the Danish flag with their name will be placed in front of the embassy, serving as a reminder of the price Denmark has paid in the pursuit of freedom and shared values. And then I will, before I read out the name, ask everyone to take off the headgear in respect of the fallen heroes.
Yeah. Now, so they're gonna read off the names, right? And of the 50-something Danish soldiers that fell in the when the U.S. called on Denmark and other NATO countries to go to war with it, right? That was the U.S. that invoked Article 5 because of 9/11, right? So that's what you know. Here they're talking about just the discussion and the conversation that Trump had about the military. But as you could hear, as you could see, or if you've been following, you know, across Denmark, there's been conversations not just about the military. It's been, excuse me, it's been conversations about a lot of stuff, you know, because the Trump administration has been attacking its allies. Just very simple. They've been attacking their allies. So, I mean, it is what it is. And a lot of people have a lot to say about that. Now, let me see. I was there with the co-organizer of the demonstration that the Americans had, which was right before this demonstration here. This demonstration, ours was at 12 and from 12 to 2. And what they did was join us from Castellel. They marched over. It takes like 15 minutes. And they joined us at 1:15. They left there at 1 and joined us at 1:15. And then then we kind of merged into theirs, right? So but there was like 5,000, maybe 10,000 you know, people here, you know, that showed up, you know, towards the end. Maybe in the beginning there's like a few hundred Americans and things like this. So, you know, but then the Danes joined us, and so the Danes came out and listened to a lot of the things that we had to say, and they were happy. They were happy to hear what we had to say, actually. And not that they haven't heard it before. They've heard it before because it's not the first demonstration we've had in front of the American embassy. So we always get a good number of Danes that come there, right? And Americans. And again, Danes know a lot more about America than a lot of Americans know about Danes. I mean, a lot of Americans think Danes are a pastry, and it's one pastry. You know what I'm saying? And but for some reason they don't. And I remember one of the first documentaries I did was called what was it called? What's the name of it? Is it? Damn, that's amazing. I can't even remember it, but I got a lot of views, probably like 100,000 views. It was distributed on Al Gore's network before I even put it on YouTube. I put it on YouTube when Al Gore's network went down some years after because I forgot. And I put it up. It's called the Danish healthcare system. I believe that's what it's called, or healthcare in Denmark. I believe it's called healthcare in Denmark. And I got a lot of views when I finally put it up like 7 years later on YouTube. And this was during the election for Obama, right? So I'm sorry. This was for the election after that. It was it was when Bush was coming. Trump was coming. But I got a lot of views for that. And that was the first documentary I worked on here in Denmark, right? And that was it was pretty effective in getting the word out. But I interviewed a lot of healthcare professionals in Denmark, right? And like, you know, the head of the emergency room in Bispebjerg Hospital, a lot of politicians here, local politicians in Denmark, and then and people also, right? Now, and it was it was called it was called Denmark's healthcare system, what Americans need to know. That's what it was called, right? So I did that quite a long time ago. And I don't usually appear in the documentaries I work on. I usually, because I'm an editor really by trade, right? So I edit usually and do graphics. But this one is one that I actually interviewed and did editing and graphics on myself and someone else. I worked with somebody else doing the camera work, right? And the miking and the sound and stuff like that. But in any case, there's a lot for Americans to learn about the Danish healthcare system, and there's a lot for Americans to learn about the Danish education system. And it's not to be joked about. It's not to be laughed at. Laughing and joking about it really only means that you can be only one thing, and that is a fool, like, sadly enough. And I know that firsthand because I didn't always understand it myself. You see what I mean? And yes, I was ill-informed, and I was foolish. I was foolish at one time about it. I wasn't aware. And then when I figured out that, no, this shit actually really works and Danes really mean this, right? And I could get that, how could I say, that arrogant American distrust out of my brain. You know what I mean? Then I realized, like, no, man, actually Denmark is one of the countries that took in the civil rights era, in the 60s, in the 70s, that actually stepped up. In the US, we had our civil rights movement, but it wasn't about economic equality. Denmark addressed that. That was their civil rights movement, and so there's something to be learned about that, especially from people that value the civil rights movement, right? That value it in any way, right? You might want to ask yourself, did you have an economic class civil rights movement in the United States, or was it just about racism, right? Or do they go hand in hand? How much do they go hand in hand? How much do discrimination, not just racism, but discrimination, go hand in hand with class warfare? How connected are those two things, and is the job done? You see what I mean? So obviously today people don't think that Elon Musk don't want that. Trump doesn't want that. They made it obvious. They don't even give a damn about they don't give a damn about. They think the people that fought in World War II for the US were losers. You know what I'm saying? They say shit like this, and it's just crazy. It's just craziness. But all I got to say is a lot of Americans are going to die if this is the approach they're taking this year. A lot of Americans are going to die in their own country if this is the approach. There's going to be a lot of issues, So and you could see it. Look, for those of you that think something bad is not coming with Trump, the longer he stays in office, no, they're rigging the system right now. They're out there to rig elections right now. They're out there to rig the Treasury right now. So you saw that little bump go up, and you saw the gold drop down, right? Why do you think that is? Right? Why do you think that is? Because for a second, people are saying, okay, there's going to be an adjustment of the U.S. dollar to preserve it. That's what that's about. But you know what? There's going to be an effect after that. And the reason why there's going to be an effect after that is because it's falsely done. So that's going to be a problem. And if you see Trump continuing to attack its allies, you're going to see the EU drop bonds, Treasury bonds, and they have a lot of U.S. Treasury bonds, and that's going to really, really hurt the U.S. economy. So people need to understand this is not about whether you think Denmark or the EU is right. This is about what's going to happen anyway if Trump keeps attacking the EU. It's just that simple. Do you want to have a decent life? Because if you don't care about those things, then it's likely and just keep this in mind. When I was saying about the gold plummeted yesterday, but keep in mind, it's still up 3 times than what it was. It's still up 3 times than what it was when Trump came in office. It's still sunk that much. I mean, gold has to sink when it reaches 40. Goddamn, it was when Trump came into office, it was 10. It was 10. I mean, I'm talking about my gold stock. It was worth $10, right? A share. Then it went up all the way to a week ago to almost $40. That's almost 4 times of what it was when Trump came into office. That's all because of the weakening of the dollar. So the fact that it went back down to 30, went back down 10 points again. That's not anything to, that's not a strengthening of the dollar you're looking at. That's a manipulation of the dollar. So, look, somebody said, I support Trump and I guarantee the voting will be changed forever along with much of the way the government works. Well, you can't guarantee that. How can you guarantee that? How can you guarantee that, sweet tooth? That sounds like you might only have one tooth in your mouth. What's up with that, dude? I mean, do you have a real identity, sweet tooth, or are you faking like a hillbilly? There's Russian people that like to fake like American hillbillies. There's Chinese people online that like to fake like they're American hillbillies with one tooth. There's there's Iranians that like to fake like they're they like to do that. It's called trolling. You know what I'm saying? But how do you guarantee it, sweet tooth, since that's your thing? I support Trump and I guarantee. What's the guarantee, Bubba? What's the guarantee, sweet tooth? What? Any guarantees? It's like, no, I don't even think Sweet Tooth is a broke back pedal. I think Sweet Tooth is from, is an Iranian troll, a Russian troll. He ain't even, it's like, that's what I mean. That's their whole thing. I've been subscribed for a long time. I don't care what. And that's a key thing about trolls. They never answer your question. They always say something else. Sweet Tooth, I said, how can you guarantee? That's what I said. And the reality is you can't. You're nobody. I mean, you know what I'm saying? So nobody should be listening to your ass. But in any case, let's move on. Let's move on. Yeah. Oh, actually, let me play one more video. I was there with the co-arranger of this demo. So let me try to rock that real quick too, so y'all could see a little bit of us together. Let me see here. Let me see. Do I have that up here? Have some of it on Facebook, on social media too, but let me see if I have how much I'll put here. Boom. Did I put that there? And then we can get on. I got a little bit of time, so I think it's here, right? Isn't it here? Did I do that? Right. And if I go over to lives, so let's go to lives, right? And then I go down here. I think this one too, I was out there. Let me see. Is this the right one? Demo. Over here, I just did a latte. We had our demo. It was wonderful. Oh, right. I had to go get a latte. That's what that was. Yeah, because we've been up there on the scene for like an hour or something, or 2 hours, because we had to open up the event. So that means we had to get there when the sound came, and there was another stage we had to set up, and not set up, but a mobile stage we had to coordinate, right? And then we had some speeches and stuff like that. So I had to go get a latte after this, and it was even though there were coffee machines out, or portable coffee people out there selling coffee and latte, it was too crowded. I couldn't get one, so I had to go all the way up the street, But this gives you an idea at least of how many people still now. Let me see. Right, this is the American Embassy. Let me take my camera off. So, Danish and American soldiers, veterans from World War II and beyond over here. Now, I made a mistake. They were coming from I made a mistake. Somebody said me too in the chat that said that what? It's not American soldiers, something like that. And actually, I made a mistake, because when I was discussing this earlier with someone else, we were talking about the history of that cemetery, right, that they came from. And since we were talking about that, I actually got a little confused. I don't know if it's it's not American soldiers in this audience, but there at one time there were American soldiers buried at that after the war. A lot of American soldiers were buried in Denmark, and then later may have some of them, not all of them, but some of them were exhumed afterwards, and taken to the U.S. And then some of them stayed, and then some American soldiers stayed in Denmark, right? And became Danes, right? So there are some American Danes, you can say Americans that became Danes after World War II sometime, and then there's also there's some relations there. But in any case, but these were a lot of people that, there was a lot of people supporting this. I'm not sure how many American military people were in this, or veterans. There are a lot of veterans, U.S. veterans that live in Denmark, and I'm pretty sure a lot of them attended, because this is how I actually found out about the event. But in any case, let's see here.
In front of the U.S. Embassy, showing solidarity and also standing against the administration that's in power right now in their attempts to attack allies and disgrace the Union.
Okay, ja. Ja, så sagde det sådan virkelig særlig smart at lave lige op med det, Nå, okay.
Ja, jeg har lige sagt det.
All right, let me speed it up. This is the other co-arranger, Christian, of the event. He's coming up right here.
Og tak for anerkendelsen.
Yeah.
About the flags being removed from the embassy.
Yeah, the co-arranger, Christian. Now I'm asking him about what happened. There were some flags removed, right? Actually, I'm glad I fast forwarded to this part. The somebody in the Trump administration ordered that flags be removed from outside of the embassy, and these flags had names on them, something to that effect, or cards that were about the fallen soldiers that went down in the Article 5 conflict, right, in Afghanistan, right? And the Trump administration removed them, right? But and so people in Denmark got pissed. The military got pissed about it, because Trump was making these arguments and things like that, and they wanted to make a point by saying, "What are you doing, trying to, invade our kingdom? What are you doing, trying to, shit on allies like this, And basically we've never done that. Danes have never done that to the U.S. Danes have been pretty respectful of right wing and left wing. They've never interfered in American politics. However, I think this time they had enough. And so they wasn't taking it anymore. So they had a bunch of flags out there. In a response, they put a bunch of small flags in front of the American embassy, letters and things like that for each veteran, each Danish soldier that died in that conflict, right? And somebody out of the embassy ordered that they be removed, right? I think it was I'm not sure who it is, but as 2 days ago, suddenly when they found out about this demonstration, suddenly these flags came back out. So somebody ordered that they be put back up, the Danish flags, and it wasn't Danes that did it. It was somebody in the American embassy, and people should know about that. Now let me just see if I can Google that before we get into this other crazy stuff here. Let me see. Who ordered the Danish flags back up at the USA embassy? Yeah, and that's a important thing. I'm going to pull that up, and then let me play a little bit. We're going to hear, somebody's going to tell me about that too. So here,
a little
Christian is actually going to tell me about it. So
history
listen.
About the flags being removed from the embassy. They were removed, and then all of a sudden they got put back up, I believe yesterday. I'm not even sure. Let me find out. Hey, Christian, do you know the story about the Danish flags being put back up in front of the embassy?
Yeah, old school. Yeah, so
Jeg skal bede jer om at rykke længere ned mod Østerbro, længere ned mod søerne. De sidste har akkurat forladt Norgesporten. Tusind tak for opbakningen, og tak for anerkendelsen.
Thanks for backing us up, and thanks for the acknowledgement.
Yeah, so there was Danish veterans put 43 flags by the U.S. Embassy. Commemorate 43 Danes who lost their lives in American wars. The American Embassy then removed those flags. They later said that it was just kind of like standard for them to remove stuff from in front of the embassy.
Yeah, right.
Kind of standard stuff, but
we know
the
that.
optics were not great, whatever the truth is.
We've seen all kinds of flags out there.
Yeah,
so.
And then, so people, they heard this, obviously they're really upset. And so Danish citizens regularly
Yo, that's actually a Canadian guy that just waved, actually, that I met out there.
started putting more flags on. And so, since then, people just been coming and putting more and more and more and more.
The guy in the back, he's French. It's a French dude there, too.
Flags in front of the embassy, like,
And they have them
short of protests. No,
Right.
they're not moving them.
Yeah, so that's the story. They took down the flags. The American embassy was ordered to take them down, and then people got pissed off and started putting them back up, and they haven't had the nerve to take them down yet, basically, right? But normally those flags have been up there for many years.
Yeah, not the Danish flags. I'm not talking about the Danish flags now that have been up for many years. But there's a lot of different things that get put up there. But I'm not sure about why. I think it's because it wasn't coordinated, right? Possibly that's the reasoning. But everything's not coordinated. You know what I'm saying? Everything's not coordinated all the time. And that was a demonstration that people made. They were like, yo, what the hell? And so they put them out there. I've seen a lot of different things out there in front of the American embassy, cards and flags, right? And, but in any case, they got put back up. So let me go to a Yahoo article here that talks about that. And that was a good thing. They got put back up. And that's interesting. So people should know that it was put up for some reason. The can I go here to this? For some reason, the is that coming up or what? You know what? What's going on? There it is. Okay, this thing has been acting a little funny today. Okay, so if I go back to here, it's up now, right? If I go to here, is it up? If I go to here, is it up? So here we go. All right. Sorry about that. I think I have to adjust a few things here. Right. Is it that? Why is this still acting like this? That is so weird. If I go here. Yeah, for some reason. Oh, okay. No, it's fine. It's fine now. Well, y'all can see this, right? Yeah. You can just Google this. Missing Danish flags. This is Yahoo News. Missing Danish flags spark further outrage after Trump's NATO comments, right? And U.S. Embassy in Denmark on Tuesday removed 44 Danish flags honoring each of the Danish soldiers killed in Afghanistan that had been placed in planters outside of the building, drawing further outrage from the country's veterans following comments President Donald Trump made last week dismissing the country's contributions to the war in Afghanistan. But the removal of the flags by the embassy was not intended to be malicious, said the State Department spokesperson who spoke on the condition of anonymity, right? That means I don't want you to know who it is to discuss sensitive information. And the flags which were placed there by activists Tuesday morning have since been replaced. That means put back or, right. Embassy staff was not aware of why the flags were placed in planters outside of the embassy, the spokesperson said, adding that the flags were not placed by the embassy staff and their placement was not coordinated with the embassy staff, which led to the confusion. Right. So you can see security personnel typically cleans up flags, banners, signs, and demonstrators leave behind the embassy. The spokesperson added, explaining that the security staff do not generally prohibit placing such items, but they also, as a general rule, remove all such items left behind and clean up the area right at the end of the shift. So this is last week nighttime, right? I believe. Yeah, exactly. This is last week. And when they were there, and apparently they were taken down while the flags were placed Tuesday afternoon, were removed in accordance with this policy. They were returned to the. But listen, let's just be very clear about this. If you read the newspapers, again, this is so funny. If you read the newspapers, right, and then you know why you can put the dots together yourself. People can put the dots together and they can figure out that no, something else is going on here, and that maybe it's not totally right. You know what I mean?
There's different flags for many people, and
because like I said, there was a lot of there's always been things there. I mean, let me just put it that way. There's always stuff being placed there, and maybe they do remove it, maybe they don't. People can go in and find out themselves about that. But in any case, let me let's let this play a little bit more. Go back to this other video, and then let's see what else they have to say real quick. Is that up? Is that now? Okay. If I go to this, it should be up, right? Or is it this one? No, it's this one. You know what? I actually screwed up this whole thing. Actually, I'm sorry about that. I made a confusing error. Is it this? I have to be careful about that because here we go. Is it this one? Right. I think it's this one, right? So let's go back. Here we go. So we play the rest of it. Come on. What's up with this?
Started putting more flags on. And so since then, people have been coming and putting more and more Danish flags in front of the embassy.
And they have them
short of protests. No, they're not moving them now.
Yeah, so that's the story. They took down the flags. The American embassy was ordered to take them down, and then people got pissed off and started putting them back up, and they haven't had the nerve to take them down yet, basically, right? But normally those flags have been up there for many years, different flags for many people, and it's only this Trump administration where they started making this policy of taking these things down, symbolic gestures down, So don't be fooled. I'm over here with some other Americans.
Maybe that's not totally accurate, and maybe it's not totally accurate. That thing that they normally have things up there. They do normally have stuff up there. But for some reason, this time around, it didn't. It didn't last long. So yeah. And if you follow the news, right? Everyone knew that week Trump was saying shit derogatory about Denmark's military contributions. There were nothing and all of that. Come on. And you can't they could easily figure out that nah. These flags are here for a reason. And these are the fallen dead of the Danish soldiers that came to the call of the United States of America invoking Article 1, right? Or Article 5, I'm sorry. And so if the embassy couldn't figure out why that was there, that's a clear symbolic gesture. So I don't buy that. No, we didn't know what it was about and la la la. Again, that's more gaslighting if you ask me. But then there's another side to it. The fact that they put it back up says a lot because it says a lot. But in any case, they put it back up voluntarily. Nobody demanded it from them. People were like, oh, really? You're going to take that shit down? Okay, well, we're going to have a march.
Right. But normally those flags have been up there for many years, taking these things down, symbolic gestures down,
Yeah, I've seen symbolic gestures last a lot longer than one day. Like, come on. I've definitely seen that. I'm going by the American Embassy pretty frequently, and typically there's stuff out there. So this is a place where people are making symbolic gestures all the time,
So don't be fooled. I'm over here with some other Americans out here. These are, of course, this is the internet, so there's a lot of Trump bots, Trump trolls and Trump bots, but we don't care about them. That, that's part of the game. We understand that,
I'm out here losing my toes in the cold.
There's a lot of Putin bots online. They hate this stuff, Men vi står sammen med alle danskerne herovre, som American.
All right. So let's get to to the regular scheduled program. It's good to be able to review that a little bit. And it's pretty important, actually, because people don't get a lot of opportunities to see what's going on over here in Denmark, since Denmark has become a hot topic, right? And it's only fair that we actually have some Americans that we can point to, right? And ask what's going on over there on the ground. Is this true? Is that true? How are things going? How do things work? You know, to be able to just get past the lies, because right now there's a lot of lies. That's one thing you can guarantee. There's a lot of misinformation online. There's a lot of lies being spread, and there's a lot of lack of information through legacy media, right? So, so that's where we try to fill in the dots and come through. And I know, this part may not
arresting
be,
journalists and shooting
this may not be,
protesters.
this may not be as exciting, let's say, as, do I have this right? Yeah, this may not be as exciting as maybe Don Lemon's arrest, right? This may not be as exciting as, did I have this right? Do we got that right? 2 seconds. What's happening here with this? Why is that happening this way? What did I do? You know what? I got to spend a second to reformat this while we live. This may not be as exciting as the Epstein files, and it may not be exciting to some people. Some folks think, obviously they would rather hear other stuff, but that's okay too. But, I'm actually thinking that these small little details will come in handy slowly but surely to different folks. And, because the bottom line is you do need sources to be able to, should I say, what is this? To be able to go to if you care. But again, we know I'm not talking about the MAGA people. The MAGA people don't care at all. It's not an issue for them. They don't want to know what's going on over here, and they would like to close their ears to it. And they would also like other people to close their ears to it. So I get that. But here, I'm going to reformat this, and then we can get this party on the way. So I think this worked out now. Boom. Let me pull that back down here. Let's get it going. Did that work out? Right. Now I can get my camera up again. All right, here we go, y'all. So and one more second. Let me just make sure I got this one right, too. That's there. Wait a second. Did I do that right? For some daggone reason, this is not working. So I have to roll it. I got to do it this way. No problem. So I'll roll like this. Now, thanks for being patient, y'all. Now, Don Lemon, man, he's
I'd
out.
be talking about Tehran?
Mr. Don Lemon is out, right?
Be talking
and
joining me now.
He got arrested by Trump, and he got arrested by Trump for things that haven't been invoked since the 1940s, 1800s, the end of slavery, Jim Crow, introduction of Jim Crow. They had to pass laws to stop the Ku Klux Klan from lynching people in the United States. You know what I'm saying? And they had to pass these kind of laws. And let me see here. Let me pull this up here. What the hell is the damn law? What laws were Don Lemon charged with? Just to make sure people know, because I know a lot of folks probably, maybe some people didn't catch the last episode when we covered this a few episodes back, but Don Lemon was charged with in 2026 with federal civil rights crimes. So in other words, interviewing, and there's been all kinds of memes. There was a meme out there with Don Lemon in front of 2026. In front of Jan 6, trying to interview people, the mob out there and shit. He was, and the caption was like, "What the fuck is going on here?" Right? So yeah, exactly. What about the people that were the journalists that were there on Jan 6? They ain't get charged with this. Trump didn't go back and charge. MAGA don't want to charge the journalists when Trump was in office and there were journalists out there covering Jan 6. Whatever happened to that? You know what I'm saying? But Don Lemon gets charged with this shit. You know what I'm saying? Smaller rally, more insignificant place. What's more important, your capital or a small church in Minnesota, right? You know what I'm saying? And they charge a journalist for being part of the demonstration. And then they have the nerve to do this. They charge his ass with conspiracy to deprive civil rights. Law 18 USC 241, meaning prosecutors allege he conspired with others to interfere with people's constitutional rights, specifically worshipers' rights, right? Exactly. A violation of the FACE Act, freedom of access to clinic entrances, something enacted so women so they would stop harassing women who wanted an abortion. Again, these are all laws enacted because the right wing simply won't act right in the U.S. And then they charge Don Lemon with this shit. Right. And then, you don't see them charging others. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, it's actually crazy. It's actually crazy. Let me see. The law, right? When were these laws created? Let me just make sure, just so you could see how absurd it is, right? Conspiracy, okay, 18 USC 241, right? It's created in 1871, part of the Enforcement Act, also called the Ku Klux Klan Act. That's the name for this law, the Ku Klux Klan Act, passed after the Civil War to stop violent groups from attacking Black Americans and suppressing voter rights. They're invoking a law they claim shouldn't even exist. This is what they're claiming. They're claiming civil rights was a hoax. That's what MAGA is claiming. But they're using a law that really had to be created and passed by Congress and signed by the president. That's how bad it was, right? It's just ridiculous. But in any case, that's what they're doing to Don Lemon, and it's going to continue. It's going to continue. It's going to get worse because MAGA is very aggressive. They're fearful. So the the things that they're willing to do will continue to get worse. Listen, y'all, they're going to blow up people. They're going to shoot people. They're going to violate your voter rights. They're going to do every single thing in the book like they always do. Remember, Jan 6, they had a pipe bomber. Somebody decided he wanted to blow up the Republicans and the Democrat headquarters. Somehow magically learns how to create bombs. Nobody, they caught the guy, but that's hush hush now, right? They caught the guy, and but this is what they're doing. This is what they've always been like this. It's nothing new in the U.S. They're into shooting people. They're into mass murdering people. They're into bombing people. They've bombed abortion clinics before. Yes, they have. That's normal. That was really bad. That's why you had these other laws come into effect, right? That they charging Don Lemon with. And then, and they have a history in the country of lynching and murdering people that just want voting rights. Citizens that want voting rights. Citizens that want. So we know what to expect, and nothing is going to stop them too fast except people. The Congress is not going to stop them too fast. The Senate is not going to stop them too fast. The Supreme Court is not going to stop them too fast because a lot of those people are in the Epstein files and they have a lot to lose, their reputations. And also they've been taking, obviously, they must have been taking some bribes, from these wealthy people, So that's my opinion now. Let's go. Is it rolling?
Attorneys in the country, and he is representing Don Lemon in his case against the Trump Justice Department. We just showed Don there. Of course, everybody's been able to see him. He also did a YouTube live people may have watched. But this is terrifying, no matter who you are. How is...
Oh, let me... Look, Itchy Brain says, no, breaking into a church is really bad. Is lynching black people really bad, Itchy Brain? Is lynching black people really bad? Is planting bombs at abortion clinics, is it really bad? I want to know your opinion. Actually, look at this. I see Itchy Bomb is just a little kid, doesn't really have any, doesn't want to actually participate. Itchy Bomb doesn't want to participate. He wants to make statements in the chat, in my chat, but he doesn't want to answer a question. You see what I mean? And all I'm doing is asking. He said, listen to him explain how the law was really old and shouldn't apply to Gay Lemon. You see? So Don Lemon's not a human being journalist. He's Gay Lemon, right? So he doesn't want to acknowledge who he actually is. He wants to think about him in the bedroom. That's where Itchy Brain is. Itchy Brain, why do you want to bring up lynching? Nobody was lynched. Sorry, buddy. I'm asking you a question. Why are you in my chat if you don't want me asking you a question? Okay, I'm asking you. You said going into a church is really bad. I'm asking you, is lynching black people really bad, bitch? That's what I'm asking you, itchy bitch. That's what I'm asking you. Is lynching black people, is blowing up fucking women for wanting an abortion, is it really bad, itchy bitch? Is it bad? I mean, you think going into a church, disrupting service is bad? Is lynching black people bad? Because that's where the law came from, itchy bitch. Okay, well, you said yes, it's bad, but guess what? Fuck you. It's not good enough, okay? That's not good enough, itchy bitch. See you tomorrow, okay? So, you know, you can't play games with this. You can't just ignore shit. You can't ignore how ironic it is that you use a law to prosecute somebody that was invoked, created because of real violence. People got lynched. Nobody in that church got lynched. Nobody in that church got blown up. And you're charging Don Lemon with a law that was passed because women were really getting bombed for wanting an abortion and black people were really getting lynched for wanting voting rights. And you want to compare that to a church? Fuck you, itchy bitch. Everybody knows you foul. So there you go. I mean, anyone is really bad. Well, you said that really late and nobody got harmed. Who got harmed in that church? We saw it. We saw the videos. People came out alive. Nothing exploded. Nobody got knocked over the head. Okay? So who got hurt? So far, that's just a theory. What, did they get their feelings hurt?
I think a lot of people at home are wondering that.
I think people should be. I mean, no matter how solid you are and how much you've covered the news, when others get this happening to them, when it happens to you, it's a different event. I mean, let's talk about what happened first to Don, and then I'd like to talk about...
I ain't giving itchy bitch back a damn thing. What are you talking about? That's mine now. Fuck him. Okay? What do you think this is, motherfucker? You don't like the rules? Get the fuck out. Isn't that what you tell other people in the United States of America? You don't like the rules? Get the fuck out. You know, what the hell? Fuck itchy bitch. Okay, his bitch ass is going to be back here tomorrow.
What it means to everybody.
All I did was time him out, but he's a sucker, so his bitch ass will be back. See, I figured out how MAGA people, what they respect. MAGA people respect people knocking ass over the head and calling them out, talking to them how they are. That's the only thing they respect in my view. You see what I mean? And there's a whole lot of Americans that agree with me on that. You see, you give an inch to these motherfuckers, they will take everything. So that's how I look at it. Fuck you.
Okay. So what happened to Don was that for 30 years, he's done not just his job. It is his job, like it's your job to be a journalist. But that's a job that is protected, by the way, by something other than a contract you have with your network. It's protected by the First Amendment of the United States Bill of Rights. And so,
yeah, what about their injury, the demonstrators' injury? You know what I'm saying?
What he's done for 30 years is his job.
What about the journalist's right? Wasn't he injured? You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on. We're not even talking about the demonstrators. You could always argue about the demonstrators. We're talking about a lawyer being charged. We're talking about a journalist for talking to everyone, asking what is going on. Why are you doing this? Again, what happened to the journalist on Jan 6 being arrested? Let me see something here. Let's go back. Let's see here. It's very simple. Very simple. What journalist organizations were present during Jan 6? Let's just see. Why don't we go prosecute them? Let's go prosecute them all, right? Because after all, they were there with the Jan 6 rioters. Let's make Trump have to give them a pardon. Also, is Trump going to give Don Lemon a pardon? Major news organizations presented on Jan 6. CNN was there. Fox News was there. MSNBC was there. ABC News was there. CBS was there. NBC was there. PBS was there. Newspapers were there. Associated Press, Reuters, New York Times, Washington Post, U.S. Today, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, Politico, local Washington media, WTOP, DCS, Washington City Paper, local TV stations, WUSA, WRC, WJLA, etc. International media, BBC, Al Jazeera, Deutsche Welle, Germany, France 24, The Guardian, Sky News, NHK, Japan, CBC, Canada, RT, Russia. Even Russia was there. Should we lock their ass up? Get your ass down there and lock them up and charge them. God damn it. Chinese media was there. CGTN. Digital independent outlets. Vice News, BuzzFeed News, ProPublica, Intercept, Axios, YouTube journalists and live streamers, independent photojournalists, and freelancers. And they were all on camera. Not everyone filming was a journalist. So listen, you know, Newsmax was there. One America News was there. InfoWars was there. Right-wing live streamers. Baked Alaska was there. I mean, come on. Come on. What is this about? What is this about? Lock them all up. Isn't that what Trump wants to do? Lock them all up? Interfere with First Amendment, right? As journalism? That's what he wants. That's what he's asking. And it's going to apply to all of you. Every single one. It's not going to only apply to one. It's going to apply to every single journalist if he is convicted across the country, henceforth and always. So, is that what you want? I can see there's a lot of people in the chat that don't want to talk about First Amendment rights. You know, I can see that. Caleb doesn't want to talk about First Amendment. Caleb, should that be applied to all journalists that show up to demonstrations? Should that be applied to all journalists that show up to riots? Yes or no, Caleb? Yes or no, Caleb? You in my chat, so I'm asking you a question. What? I'm all about the First Amendment, dog. Listen, should Don Lemon have been arrested? Should he have been arrested? Period. Okay, I'm just making sure, man. I'm just making sure, you know, I'm just making sure. That's all. Okay, look, let's be clear because that's what I'm trying to figure out. You know, it's like, let's be clear because I'm like, what the hell is going on here? What the hell? And look, you see the anti-American sentiment in the chat because if you're against the First Amendment, you are anti-American. If you're against the Second Amendment, you are anti-American. If you're against the Third Amendment, you are anti-American. If you're against the Fourth Amendment, you are anti-American. If you're against the Fifth Amendment, you are anti-American. All of them. Look, now here we go. Sweet Booby Boop is back, who we don't even know. This is Sweet Tooth. I'm gonna call him Russian Sweet Tooth. Sweet Tooth from Russia. One-toothed man from Russia. Nowhere in the First Amendment does it say you can crash a religious congregation. He didn't crash a religious congregation, asshole. He's a journalist. Where in the First Amendment does it say you can crash an insurrection? Where does it say that? Does it say journalists cannot film, cannot interview people on Jan 6? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, he got kicked out. He got 5 Sweet Tooth goddamn accounts. That's what I'm saying. He's a Russian troll. There you go, Sweet Tooth. See you later. Bye. Get another account. Hurry up.
And his job is to report on what it is that you saw he was doing in Minnesota. He is basically recording, sometimes video, sometimes by taking notes, what's going on around him. So that's what he did. Immediately, Attorney General Bondi, Assistant Attorney General of the Civil Rights Division, and who knows in the White House were already tweeting, this was a crime, we're going to go to get him. Mm-hmm. And so what did you do? You have to lawyer up. So he and I know each other. We got together. And what's the first thing I did? I wrote to the Department of Justice 10 days ago. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm representing Don Lemon. I understand you might be investigating him. If you're going to take any action, do it the right way. You don't have to make a show of it. You don't have to make a circus of this.
You hear this? Wow. So he contacted them before. What?
Attorney General job is to report on what it is that you saw he was doing in Minnesota. He is basically recording, sometimes video, sometimes by taking notes, what's going on around him. So that's what he did. Immediately, Attorney General Bondi, Assistant Attorney General of the Civil Rights Division, and who knows in the White House were already tweeting, this was a crime, we're going to go to get him. And so what do? You have to lawyer up. So he and I know each other, we got together. And what's the first thing I did? I wrote to the Department of Justice 10 days ago, and I said, I'm representing Don Lemon. I understand you might be investigating him.
So this is before he was charged.
If you're going to take any action, do it the right way. You don't have to make a show of it. You don't have to make a circus of this. Get in touch with me.
And did you hear back from them?
I'm still waiting. So, all right, what else did they do? So not only did they basically attack as a crime something that you and others do that are protected by the First Amendment, they didn't do it just in the way you're supposed to. They wanted it to be terrifying. They wanted it to be intimidating. They wanted it to create fear. So he lives in New York. It's not Minneapolis. He's going to Los Angeles to do his job, which is to cover, in this case, the Grammys this weekend. They wait until he's in Los Angeles. That's not enough. They waited until 11:30 at night when he was coming back for doing what he does in the lobby of a hotel, and not one, not two, not three, but the bevy of agents surround and take him away. Don thought he was being mugged because he has been controversial, and he actually thought some.
Now you see, Don thought he was being mugged. And what is your right in the United States of America if you think you are being mugged? What's your right? Your right is to stand your ground and defend yourself. That's your right. Your right is to pull out a gun and shoot the people mugging you if you think they are threatening your life and your life is in danger. That's your right.
Some crazy people on the right might be stalking him.
Can I pause just for a moment? Because I think it's so important for people to hear this. We just showed Georgia's video. How many agents surrounded him in the lobby?
I'm trying to count right now, but let's put it this way. It's more than the one that would have been necessary to do it the right way. And they're cloaked, and they're protected, and they're armed. This is to somebody who's not a threat, doesn't have a criminal record. He's not Maduro in Venezuela that you have to snap out. You basically have heard from his attorney, and they don't care about any of that. So they take him away. And that's...
Look, P. Diddy, they arrested him for sex trafficking. It was only like two federal agents that took him into custody. They had on shorts and sandals and shit. The two, you know what I'm saying? And they come into Don Lemon, a person with no criminal record, like a fucking armed militia at 11 o'clock at night out of nowhere.
That's what happened. But they didn't just take him away. Remember, they didn't just stalk him in Los Angeles. They did it at 11:30 at night so that they knew that he'd have to spend a night in jail for no reason whatsoever. But they did that on purpose. So they trail him to Los Angeles, they wait until 11, and they make sure that he has to spend a night in jail, knowing that we wouldn't be able to get in front of a judge until the next day. That's what happened to Don for doing his job.
Let me ask David. David, when people are dissatisfied with their Congress, do they have the right to storm the building, kick in the doors, smash the windows, threaten to hang the vice president, and kill a congressional member? Or should they wait their turn and sign up like everybody else if they want to speak and have some grievances? Which one should they do? Everybody, including David. If you want to take care of, discuss your grievances with congressional members, with the vice president, anybody else, any elected official in the Capitol building, should you sign up, make an appointment, and wait your motherfucking turn? Put a 1 in the chat if that's what you should do. Or should you kick in the door, say, I'm going to hang you, bitch, and break down the glass and proceed to march in as a mob? Which one? Put 2 if you should do it mob style. Put 1 if you should do it like everybody else and wait your turn. Including you, David. Which one should you do? David Bork, what should you do? It's only 2 options, 1 or 2. Go in politely and sign up. And if they tell you, sorry, we're busy today, you can come back tomorrow. Should you just sign up and wait your turn like everybody else? Or should you kick in the door, David, and say, I'm going to kill you, bitch? Never saw that here in America. Okay, well, let me see. Just for that one, let me just say, hide that user from the channel. Like, you don't even deserve to get timed out because that's obviously a Russian bot. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? Fuck David, man. David's not even real. We can't use time on him. He's not even a real. I never saw it. How did he? Nobody here but us chickens.
Now
Okay,
let's talk
David.
about what it means for everybody else. What it means for everybody else is that we've seen today the next step towards what you would have thought if I described what happened, you were describing what happened in pre-World War II Italy with Mussolini. The first thing the Trump administration did was they attacked lawyers. Then they
Adam, if you want to visit your congressional members, look at Adam. Yeah, he's out. Okay, so Dennis got his ass already. No, let's ask Adam. You know, it's okay to ask them some questions before they get blocked.
attacked the journalists. And those are the two playbook kinds of plays that authoritarian governments have done through history.
Yeah, Adam's still there. Adam T7Y9V, whatever the hell that means. R2D2, 3CP3PO and shit. Star Trek. Adam, if you want to go and have a conversation with a congressional member or senator or vice president, should you go to the and they're all in the Capitol, and you want to visit them, should you go there and sign up on the list and wait patiently like everyone else? Or should you kick in the door, smash the window, say, I'm going to kill you, bitch, and I'm going to hang Mike Pence? Put one out there, Adam, if you think you should wait your turn and be civil. And put a 2 in the chat if you think you should kick in the door and say, fuck you, bitch, I'm going to kill Mike Pence. Adam, I'm talking to you. Let's see. And also you, Johnny boy. Johnny Q8W. C3PO. You know what I'm saying? R2D2 Elon Musk. This is so funny. Yeah, exactly. They don't. Come on, man. See, you can't be civil. And you can't be a real person, can you? Goddamn. Just please. That's all I'm asking. Be real. Where's the Adam's ass at? I'm about to time your ass out for the rest of the day, Adam. You didn't answer my question, and you still there. You could have answered my question. So, see you later, buddy. All right, next.
In order to stifle dissent. World War II Italy with Mussolini. The first thing the Trump administration did was they attacked lawyers. Then they attacked the journalists. And those are the two playbook kinds of plays that authoritarian governments have done through history in order to stifle dissent. And if that weren't enough, then they brought the people that are supposed to be policing and they literally killed 2 peaceful protesters. If I describe that to you, basically neutering lawyers, arresting journalists, and shooting protesters, you think I'd be talking about Tehran? You think I'd be talking about Italy in the 1930s or 40s? We're talking about the United States of America. So what does it mean to everybody? These are 2 basic rights. For example, the First Amendment, when they attack the lawyers, it's the Sixth Amendment. This is an administration that's not just willing to trample on the Bill of Rights. They're eager to do it. It's a warning sign.
Yep. Now, Charles Suckins, he describes everybody as a liberal. Look, motherfucker, you can meet your death fucking around with some liberals, all right? So just keep it straight. We all not liberals the same way. Some liberals don't carry a gun for shooting, all right? Now, let me just ask you this, Charles. He said liberal can't stand different opinions when this clown show is ending. Okay, so listen, Charles, I accept your opinion. That's not really that. It's ludicrous, but it's not your opinion I have a problem with. I want you to be real. And when you're being a phony motherfucker, that's when I have the problem. See, I want to know if you really believe the bullshit you're saying. So that means I have the right to ask you a question, bitch ass Charles. Right? Now, I'm asking you a question, Charles. Show you're a real person. Show the real person you are. If you want to meet an elected official and you have a grievance with them, should you go to their office and sign up and wait, even if they tell you you got to wait, you have to wait till next week? Or should you kick in the door and say, I want to kill you, bitch, I'm going to hang you? Put a 1 in the chat if you should just be patient, accept what they say, sign up and wait on the list like everybody else calmly and patiently. Put a 1 in the chat if you should do that, or put a 2 in the chat if you should kick in the door and say, fuck you, bitch, I'm going to kill you. Let's see how real Charles is. There you go, Charles. I asked. Waiting for you patiently. Look at that. So Charles wants to be a fake bitch. See you later, Charles. Fuck you. You being a fake motherfucker. And that just rides everywhere, you know. So there you have it. Charles didn't want to answer the question. He chose not to. So bye. Go get another troll account. You know, he wants to come in the chat and talk about liberals, but a liberal can't ask him a question. He's scared to answer the question. You know, that's crazy, man.
And if we can,
I never met a fucking man named Charles that's scared to answer a question in real life. Where's this Charles from? Fucking, you know, outer space or some shit?
can't rely on those Bill of Rights to protect you and Don and others who give us the news, or lawyers who come up and defend you when you do that, then we're in a lot more trouble than the average person believes.
Let me ask you about one of the legal tactics they seem to be using, because it seems like what I'm hearing from you is this is something they're trying out. We should just expect them to do it more. And I absolutely think we should. They seem to be, they reference what's
Lord, nah. You said Epstein tape that just came out. It's a lot of them. Which one you talking about?
called the FACE Act.
What's it called?
In this indictment here, which again is 14 pages. I'm not a lawyer, but anybody can be out there and read it. It has until recently been used to protect people's access to abortion clinics. It feels like it's a new tactic. I don't know that there's a precedent. You tell me. But what do you make of them using that?
Well, I mean, okay, what do we make of the fact that they basically use the Department of Justice not to use the word justice in its title, but to go after the enemies of Donald Trump, whether it be Attorney General Tish James, whether it be Jim Comey, whether it be now going after the ballots in Atlanta, in Fulton County, Georgia. This act is not supposed to be used to arrest journalists for doing their job when journalists, by the way, would be filming a civil rights march,
right,
or when journalists are filming what's going on at a church, or even if journalists were basically filming or reporting on what was going on at an abortion clinic. You can decide whether people protesting at those three sites should or should not happen, whether it's part of our precious right to dissent in America. But what you're not supposed to do is not distinguish between people who are covering it versus not. Let me put it this way. Do you remember the television clips that we saw in the 1960s about what was happening in the South during the Civil Rights Movement? One of the things that turned...
Yo, Lord, you're not being specific, man. It has names. You're just saying Epstein files interview. You got to be specific. Come on now. You got to say something that lets people know which one you're talking about. Okay?
Turned our country around was to be able to see it on their television screens at night when, you know, people were being sprayed with hoses and dogs were being sicked on them in places like Alabama. If those journalists had been subject to what happened today, you might not have ever seen those videos. And how much worse would we have been?
Facts. Exactly. You would be a lot worse off if you don't see injustice on videotape. You know, so that's the whole point of those First Amendment rights. The same rights that protect the church are the same rights that protect Don Lemon. And for them to not really understand that is really ludicrous. I mean, you are a church operating inside the United States of America. Does this church even get tax breaks? I mean, come on. You know, it's like, come on, what is this? I hope they don't get tax breaks. I really hope their tax thing is snatched away from them when, you know, because you can't be violating, you know, you can't operate under the same clause in the First Amendment and then want to deprive part of that clause just for the sake of your own, you know, views, just for the sake of your own views. Not to mention the demonstration was real. It was real. The book that they talking about, nobody can prove a lot of that shit really even happened. You know what I'm saying? And they're going to be in there all day long, like, la, la, la. And then they want to turn it to, Jesus said, kick out the poor. Jesus said, you don't have a right to be here. Jesus said, kick out illegals. Jesus was a goddamn illegal. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck? They like, Jesus said, support Trump. Jesus hated they hated the czar. They hated goddamn the guy. What is the head of the Roman of Rome called? Caesar. Jesus hated fucking Caesar, and these motherfuckers are like, their Jesus loves Caesar. I mean, what the hell? Their Jesus loves injustice and shit. What the fuck? I mean, at least they could act like Jesus cares about the meek. You know what I'm saying? At least they can act like it. They don't even fucking act like it. They like, get me the whip, Caesar. I'm going to whip his ass. It's like, what the fuck? I'm going to whip him for you. What the fuck?
we wouldn't have. And if people are deterred now, we won't see a lot of the videos we see. Don is, as you well know, and I've known him a long time too, he has been a target of Trump for a long time. He is an independent journalist, so he's not working for a big major news organization.
Look, hey, can I ask you a question, White Horse Original? What's your ethnic background? What's your ethnic background? Just curious, because I find that people that use these names like white, black, might not, you can't trust that they really are what they say they are. So, White Horse Original, what's your ethnic background? What state do you come from? And who is your who is your healthcare provider? Please, White Horse, tell us that. What's your ethnic background? What state do you live in? And who's your healthcare provider? Let us know you're a real person, White Horse.
He's also a prominent black journalist. There are a lot of reasons, I guess, they could have decided Don was their target. Why do you think they decided?
I think it was partially because his lack of goodwill in this administration. And we know President Trump has a lot of traits, one of which is that he does go after the last shiny object that's put in front of him. And it could have been something that Don said during that protest. It was a convenient thing for them to do to send their message. Journalists of the United States, what did they do 4 or 5 days before that? They executed a search warrant on a Washington Post reporter to get evidence which would have been unheard of, even if she herself was not, quote, the target of their investigation. There used to be rules to protect journalists who gathered news from being forced to give up their sources. This is not a mistake. This is not an outlier, and it's not ad hoc. The first thing you do is you basically shut down the press. You shut down lawyers. You shut down universities. I am asking people to understand that these are not random, unconnected events. It is an assault on everything we are dear in America.
I've heard that.
This is funny because bingo dances. What's your ethnicity? What state do you live in? And who's your healthcare provider? If you notice, the horse, White Horse, disappeared when I asked him. When I want him to really prove, is this, what is he trying to say with that name? So I'm just going to put him in timeout because he didn't answer my question. Now let's go down. So, people that don't want to answer questions, but they in my chat, to me, that means they're not cooperating. So big O dances. Don Lemon is free now. He got out. His lawyer got him out probably faster than you would ever get out for anything. Right. But, your comment here talking about now he's going to jail ready to be used by prisoners. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? And tell me, what state do you live in and who's your healthcare provider? What's your ethnicity? I don't live in the U.S. Okay, so then that means you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So there you have it. Put him in timeout. It's not that you have to be, but look, man, why are you talking about Don Lemon, who's out, who's a free man, got out faster than most people would ever get out of jail, and on top of, for charges like this, and then on top of it, he's going to imply something else going on. I'm just like, come on, man, keep it relevant. Let's talk about the First Amendment rights. Let's talk about something we know about. You know what I mean? Let's not be fake and pretend. You know what I'm saying? Really. And I'm just going to say this. Don Lemon, reportedly, he says that he's gay. How the fuck would I know? He's the one who says it, right? I had this conversation with somebody else, a friend of mine. He mentioned something about bathrooms and, people, I think gay people or something like this. And I told him, I said, listen, man, how do you know when somebody's gay? Just because they tell you they ain't gay or they are gay, how do you actually know? You know what I'm saying? And that's why I don't really go down that rabbit hole, because I don't need to know if I'm having a conversation about business. I don't need to know if I'm having a conversation about education. I don't need to know this shit. It's irrelevant when I'm talking about the First Amendment. It's irrelevant when I'm talking about journalism, when I'm talking about human rights, when I'm talking about civil rights. It's irrelevant. You know what I mean? Because you're never going to fucking know. Just because somebody tells you they're straight doesn't mean you know. It just means you believe them. You see what I mean? And so I don't even bother. I'm not even caring. I don't care who you go home and you sleep with in your room. I don't give a fuck. It's not my business unless it's kids, right? Then you're a fucked up person. But outside of that, I don't need to know because I'm not interested. Now, here's the thing. To be honest with you, he could be gay. That doesn't mean he's going to interact with gay people in prison or straight. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that he wants to. It doesn't mean that somebody else that's in prison that's gay wants to. I think what this guy was talking about is maybe some rape that might go on, but there's no way of knowing if you never been in prison. There's no way of knowing how you gonna handle that situation in prison. There's no way of knowing how Don Lemon will handle that situation in prison. There's just no way of knowing. You might want to worry about how you would handle it if you were in prison, because I don't plan on going to prison. You know what I'm saying? But having said that, I know how I'm going to handle shit always. That is, I'm going to speak my mind straight up, and I'm going to expect my boundaries to be respected. That's just wherever it is. You know what I'm saying? That's on real life everywhere. That's not just in prison. You see what I mean? So I would advise people to, go about things that way. And hey, if you want to go and be gay with somebody, go right ahead. I don't give a damn. It's not my business. I don't. It's not important to me. It's not relevant. Even if you're straight, it's not my business. It's not my fucking business. Because just because you tell me you're straight, don't mean I fucking know. It doesn't mean I fucking know. Do you know how many people? Do you know how many people out there people have thought and assumed were straight and were not? Do you know that? Do you know that? Do you know how many people thought was gay and weren't? Do you know that? It's just you can't guess. You can only know about yourself, really. And at the end of the day, if you're not really trying to get down with somebody, then what is the point in even knowing? Right? So that's how I look at it. That's just my personal view,
Former colleagues at CNN all came out pretty unanimously, pretty strongly to support me. I understand. I believe that CNN released a statement. I've heard that CNN released a statement. Thank you very much. I have no animus for CNN. I have no animus for anyone, but I tell the truth as about what I see. And I think it's time for all journalists to stand up for each other. So I appreciate that.
Right. And notice he's not talking about all gay journalists or all straight journalists or all, he's saying all journalists because he's talking about the First Amendment. You see what I mean? And all journalists fall under the First Amendment, just like all churches, religions fall under the First Amendment. And in a way, I find that's the counterbalance, because in some countries, in the United States, you can believe any goddamn thing you want. You can have a church based on believing in aliens, and no one can really stop you and shit. But you need the media up there to make it plain that your ass is fake. You know what I'm saying? If something's not real that you believe, a journalist should be able to say, well, that's not actually true. Where have you found that to be true? Where does that exist? No, that's not actually true. There have to be a counterbalance. It's like, damn, otherwise they'd be preaching any goddamn thing they want to preach in there, man. Calling it the truth.
At CNN, I worked with the best journalists in the world, so I wish them nothing but the best. But I believe those journalists as well need to stand up to the corporation. They need to tell Warner Brothers Discovery, stop playing and get your hands out of the newsroom. CBS needs to tell Paramount and David Ellison and whatever, get out of our newsroom. Get out of our journalism. Barry Weiss, take your hands off of it. Let the journalists be the journalists.
Yo, Roger says, Roger is a motherfucker that just believe anybody. So that's basically what it is. So I'm going to have to ask him, Roger, how do you know what you just said? Roger says he bought coffee and donuts prior to the event and discussed the plans. So how do you know that, Roger? Let us know how you know. Where is that information found? Curious, Roger. Let us know how you know. Or are you just a person that believes anybody that tells you anything? Well, let me tell you a little something if that's the case. Roger, you're wrong, okay? I wasn't there, but I'm going to tell you, you're wrong, all right? Now, believe me, okay? What the fuck?
All of them. That goes for every single
Roger is like Trump. He just believed the last person that talked to him and shit. It's like
corporate entity that owns a journalistic organization. Let the journalists be the journalists, because they're going to save our democracy if you just let them do it. The way to stand up to a bully.
Roger doesn't know. Look, Roger doesn't know. Look, he said video. What the hell is this on Kane? What? Yo, you supposed to know. Where does video on? Tell us the actual source. I'm not watching a video. You supposed to be able to tell us if you know. You don't know, do you? You like watch a video. No, you supposed to know. Roger, where did they get that information from? Where does that information come from? Describe it. Let us know. Who? What's the name of the person that said that was there on the scene? He said it's Lemon's video. Okay, so you're saying that Don Lemon said this, that you're reciting. Don Lemon, you trying to say Don Lemon told you that he was there conspiring to do the event? Is that what you trying? Come on, man. That would be on goddamn Fox News. Come on. That would, I mean, listen, man. Did you hear the Department of Justice say that? Because that's the only person that counts. They're going to have to say that, and it doesn't sound like
tyrant?
Yeah. Go ahead, Roger. Tell us the video. Just put it. I'll be able to see it. You can type it in the chat. Even if it doesn't come up, I'll be able to see it if it gets blocked. And then I will put it up myself. So go ahead, put the link in the chat. Put the link in the chat. Matter of fact, let me go back. I'm gonna take exactly what he said and I'm gonna Google that. Video NKYN. I presume that's YouTube video KYN. Okay, let's see here. Video KYN on YouTube says Don Lemon planned the event of the church demo with the demonstrators before it happened, while drinking coffee before. Is that true? I mean, this might be some shit they spreading around on QAnon. They will spread this. And I told you, the disinformation, this is what the only power they have. It's, yeah. So there's no verified evidence that Don Lemon sat drinking coffee and planned a church protest with demonstrators the way some YouTube videos claim. What is confirmed by credible sources is that he was present with activists before the protest and later live streamed it. But whether that proves planning or conspiracy is disputed and not proven in court. Now, confirmed facts. Don Lemon live streamed an anti-ICE protest inside a Minnesota church that's disrupted a worshiper's service. Prosecutors charged him under the federal civil rights law, including conspiracy, FACE Act. Yeah, we covered that, right? And others. Lemon says he was acting as a journalist and denies wrongdoing. What videos and reporting suggest but don't prove? Footage shows he was with activists before the protest and followed them to the church. Some media outlets claim he had advanced knowledge of the protest plan and worked closely with activists. But that is not the same as proven planning. Do you understand there's some differences there? Court initially questioned whether there was enough evidence to charge him, right? Highlighting the uncertainty of the case. So, legal experts warn that prosecuting journalists for covering protests raises serious press freedoms. About the YouTube claim, many YouTube channels exaggerate or distort facts, right, for clicks. Evidence: Lemon was near activists before president. Before the protest. Okay, there's no verified proof that he masterminded or coordinated it over coffee. Reality: that question is what the court case is trying to determine. Right? If you want, I can track down the exact video people are citing and analyze it frame by frame, explaining the charges in plain English or separate real evidence from misinformation to Don. Let me see something here. If Don King interviewed them before the protest, is that and they said they would protest. Is that a crime? I mean, it's very fucking simple. No, it's not a crime. Okay, what the fuck? What's going on here? Again, this is attacking First Amendment, the same right that the church has to operate as a church is the same right Don Lemon has to do journalism. He has the right to say, "Oh, really? You have a protest plan? What time is the protest? Oh, really? You going to be there? Okay, I'll meet you there. That sounds interesting. And you planning it? Okay, let me show up." Guess what's going on, y'all? They came out here. They did say they were planning this. They had been planning it. I know that for a fact. I interviewed them earlier, and they said they were going to demonstrate. They said this was a right-wing church with a pastor that supports ICE. Interesting. And lo and behold, they actually kept their word. They are really here. Oh, shit. They're running through the door. Let me go in and find out. That's what the fuck. And again, how many people showed up to Jan 6 like this? I mean, how many people heard of a protest? Trump even said he knew about a protest. Trump even told people to go up to the Capitol building. Is that a crime? Is what Trump did a crime? Everyone that recorded Trump saying that. Remember that on Jan 6? Trump sat out there and told everyone, you got to fight like hell or you won't have a country. What about the people that shot him say that? Should they be locked up? Should they be locked up? What about the people that followed him? Followed all the journalists that followed those people up there and heard him say, fight like hell. What does that mean, fight like hell? I don't know. I don't really know what it means, but it sounds exciting. I better go up there with them and find out what it means. Oh my God, they're kicking in the door. I better go. They're bashing in police head. I better go cover this. Look at this. He's bashed police officer 1 over the head with a pole. Number 2 got hit with a pipe. What the fuck? Oh shit, they getting inside the building now saying they're going to kill Mike Pence. Look at this. Here's the hangman rope. Here's all of this shit. The motherfucker said I'm going to kill Pelosi. Wow, I got that on camera. Let's go in. Damn, they making it to the inner chamber. What the fuck is going on here? The police just moved aside and was like, fuck this. We don't want to get run over. The guy threatened them and said, we're going to run you over if you don't move, police. I mean, what the fuck are you going to do? I mean, that was legal, right? Wasn't that legal? Wasn't it legal? It was absolutely legal to sit up there and videotape. Which one of those journalists stopped and said, wait a fucking second. Trump just said you ain't going to have like a country if you don't fight like hell. I'll meet you at the Capitol. Which one of them just dropped the camera and said, I better call the police? Yo, let me warn the police. They're going up to the Capitol, y'all. They really plan on going in there. I seen people with guns. They plan on it. They got sticks. I mean, come on. So, it's ridiculous. But those people got a pardon. No journalist got charged. No journalist that interviewed any of those protesters got charged for interviewing them. You see what I mean? It's like, come on, man. This is just ridiculous. This is just ridiculous.
It's not to bend the knee. It's not to acquiesce. It is to metaphorically punch them right in the nose. And you need to introduce not only Donald Trump and the folks who work for him and his administration, but the corporate overlords and the gatekeepers. You need to introduce them to the word no.
Absolutely. Yep. And MAGA don't like no, especially when it's done politely. I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna learn how no is gonna get said with a fucking gun. Like really, that's what it is. They don't like polite. That's what they're proving every day. They don't like being polite, So,
all the journalists, they cannot fire you. We were always taught when I worked in corporate media that the news is a star. That's bullshit. If the news was a star, everybody would have the same ratings. And everybody doesn't have the same ratings. The journalists are the stars. The people who are delivering the news, those are the stars.
He's right, because Don Lemon stepped off of CNN and got paid more money.
And
more people watch Don Lemon now than when he was on CNN.
Who do well, they get the ratings and they get the respect. So it is, and actually having come from.
And look, I don't even watch Don Lemon. The only time I watch Don Lemon is because of this stuff. Like, seriously, the shit that Nicki Minaj, that happened when they said some stuff about Don Lemon, Nicki Minaj. I watched that. this shit about him getting locked up. I watch this. Outside of that, I don't even watch Don Lemon. I don't even watch it. But now I have to watch it because they attacking him.
From that, now I understand that what my star quality is, that is being honest and authentic and telling the truth.
Yo, Purple, what's up? Good morning to you. Listen,
and I think
these people,
that's if everyone
let me know
did
something.
that and they were not.
Let me know something. Is the internet low right now? Because mine says, my program says that let me see something. My program says that the internet is working fine, but I see it's getting choppy for some reason. So let me know if it's getting choppy on y'all side. Now, listen, here's the thing. I don't know what people say that Don Lemon is not good. Don Lemon is making more money and got more viewers than ever. So obviously there's some people watching him, right? Now, I don't really watch Don Lemon. I'm not even it's not that I don't like his journalism. What I mean is that, how can I say this? I'm not totally into all of the topics he takes. That's what it is, right? But it doesn't have anything to do with whether he's a good journalist or not. But the thing of whether I watch him or not, that doesn't make him good or bad because I don't listen to all his stories. But I did start watching him when they attacked him. And I know one thing for sure. What he's saying about journalism is correct. It's just correct, And there's a reason, whether I like him or not, there's a reason why he's making more money now than he was at CNN. There's a reason why more people are watching his programming now than when they watched it at CNN. So, again, I have to understand that he have some star qualities. Like he said, he just has it, and to be offended by that, I don't really get it. I don't really get that part because isn't that just something you have to learn how to accept? Sometimes some people do things better than other people. Isn't that what you can't do everything better than somebody else? You know what I'm saying? That just doesn't work. And even if you are in the same line of business, that doesn't mean that you can't acknowledge when somebody's doing something better than you are. It doesn't mean you don't do something better or you don't have your own thing. But I mean, Don Lemon is a success. He's a success. You can't, in journalism and in media, you can't play any games like with that. He knows what he's doing. His team is a good team, obviously. And, whatever it is they're doing it right. In fact, covering this story might have given him more viewers than ever. You see what I mean? And that's smart journalism, especially when it's about viewership. When you do stories that get more people pointing at you. And so he's got you little MAGA trolls like typing his name in the fucking Google algorithm. You're getting him more views by doing that. Sitting up here, Don Lemon ain't shit. Don Lemon, you motherfuckers might as well say you work for Don Lemon and shit. It's not me doing that. I've never watched Don Lemon's goddamn show until they started attacking him. So, I mean, it is what it is, man. It don't have to be my cup of tea, but damn, if he got you MAGA people talking about his ass, it's like he must be doing something right.
Afraid of the powers that be. That's our motto. That's our mission. Just like a doctor, just like a lawyer, what we're supposed to do is hold the powerful to account and do no harm. And if you don't want to do harm to the American people, then stand up for democracy. Stand up for the First Amendment. So thank you so much. CNN journalist, I love you. Dana Bash, thank you. Jake, thank you. Aaron Burnett, thank you to all of the people over at CNN who I like. And thank you to the management and who I worked with forever for putting out a statement. And thank you to the folks on MSNBC. Thank you to Scott Galloway and to everyone.
What you're seeing is
that's crazy, man. So Don actually, they locked his ass up and yeah, it is what it is. There's nothing else they can do about it. Now, let me see here. Let's go now. Now that we covered a little Don, let's go into what they have about the Epstein files now. I want to see because there's so much information and yeah, nobody's going to get it all. There's not enough time to cover it all, but there's a lot. I mean, so I want to see some of the details. Hold on.
3 million pages, 2,000 videos.
Wait a second.
videos and
Wait a second.
180,000
Why is that one rocking? It's this one. It's the one about Musk. All right, here we go. Let's see here.
The files also show that Epstein repeatedly took the fifth during a 2016 deposition when asked more than a dozen questions about former President Clinton.
Oh yeah, the haters, look, the haters, they blowing Don Lemon up bigger than ever. These MAGA people with the, he broke the First Amendment, man. They making his show more popular than ever. They just, Don Lemon, I guarantee you, he's gotten 1 million more viewers just off of this one thing. Just very simple, you know, and that's how journalists, that's how media works. That's not journalism, that's media, but those two are intertwined together. So he's obviously showing that he knows, in terms of media, what he's doing. You see what I mean? And his team knows that. That's probably why they did the story in the first place, you know, to be honest with you. Oh, this will be a hot story. Yeah. Oh, really? You know, so, I mean, I could imagine the team saying this, you know, to be honest with you, really, the more I think about this now, since the MAGA folks want to throw his ass in jail, I have to think about Don Lemon now. So I think what happened is there's a possibility that they said January 6th, all those people got pardons. And there was all these arguments out there from MAGA people about why that was fine and okay to do. And what I think they did was say, okay, I think people picked that whole thing apart. Everything that MAGA says, all the arguments that MAGA makes every day, I think is going to be reversed on them. And I think what they did was say, let's challenge these arguments, right? Let's see how they hold up. Let's see. Except let's do it in a way where no one fucking gets their head smashed in. You know what I'm saying? Let's do it in a civilized way. God damn. You know what I'm saying? The MAGA people just always have to have people die at their experiments. You know what I'm saying? People got to have to fucking get shot. People have to get murdered. People have to be maimed. Police officers got to get hurt at a MAGA event. And I think what they did was deconstruct it and say, okay, well, let's do it this way. Let's interview since Trump told everybody to go to the Capitol and said he was going to come. Since Trump told everybody fight like hell, since journalists interviewed all these people and they were sitting around even before that, you know, they even gave suggestions that they were even going to do this. You know, they even talked about it. You see what I mean? Yeah, the bottom line is that there is nothing. A journalist can interview a activist organization before they do something any day of the week. It is perfectly legal in the United States of America. It's perfectly legal. The question is, do you know that a crime is going to be committed? And if you know there's a crime going to be committed where people get hurt, what do? That's the difference. Like, obviously, you can't talk to an activist group and have them tell you, yeah, we're going to set off a pipe bomb tomorrow up in the church. No, the journalist has an obligation to tell people then. But that's not what these activists did. See, and I'm pretty sure in Jan 6, they didn't tell people exactly what they were going to do when they were discussing it in media before that. I'm sure, like Trump said, go up there, you better fight like hell. You're going to lose your country. We want the votes overturned. We want Mike Pence to do this. He didn't actually say kick in the door. I mean, so is it illegal to interview Trump before he said that? All those things that he said, were the journalists that interviewed Trump, or were they violating some laws? So if you turn it on his head, the answer is no. They didn't charge Trump with that. They did, but it didn't get, prosecuted. You know what I'm saying? But actually, they probably have more proof that Trump planned the insurrection than they have that Don Lemon planned this goddamn church thing. I think that's what the problem is. So they're living this one out. This is like a live troll. This is a live troll, like straight up, they're like almost reenacting the same events. And so if you argue against Don Lemon, you're basically saying Trump should go to jail. Damn. If you say Don Lemon created a crime, you're basically saying Trump committed a crime. That's what it looks like to me, basically, So everything that MAGA argues is basically going to backfire against Trump, You see what I mean? So, yeah, so let's continue.
Among them, several about whether Mr. Clinton visited Epstein's private island and flew in his private plane. The former president has denied ever having visited the island. So has Elon Musk, yet the files contain at least 2 emails discussing just that. In one from the 24th of November 2012, Epstein writes, "How many people will you be for the heli to island?" Musk responded the next day that it would probably just be him and his then wife, adding, quote, "What day/night will be the wildest party on our island?" A year later, Musk wrote Epstein saying, quote, "We'll be in the BVI St. Bart's area over the holidays." BVI's British Virgin Islands.
Now,
is there a good time to visit? To which Epstein...
Okay, so let's keep it trill. Let's keep it trill right here. Put a 1 in the chat, and the chat is open, so I can always close it, but it's open for a reason. So people are free to participate respectfully. Now, and also make sense, right? And also cooperate. If you're in the chat sharing your opinions, then I'll have the right to address you individually while you're in the chat. And I'm going to expect responses. Now, here, everybody that's in the chat. Oh, by the way, those of you watching on your TVs, do me a favor, click the like button so more people can find the stream. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed. I know a lot of people like to watch on the TV, so they're not in the chat, but they could pick up their remote and hit the like button. And if you haven't clicked the like button, go ahead and do that for me. Now, I'm going to ask a question right off the bat. How many of you think Elon Musk has been sleeping with minors, has been part of this Epstein scandal? Put a 1 in the chat if you think Elon Musk has actually assaulted or been a part of assault, known about crimes and didn't do anything about it, or participated and kept it a secret. Put a 1 in the chat if you think he's complicit. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't think he's complicit in any way, shape, or form. That means any way, shape, or form. I'm just curious, yeah. Oh, yeah, Purple. Also, you two, let me know what you think. Everybody in the chat. Now, let me see here. I'm talking to the trolls too. Now, J6 was not a fed up, you orange Kool-Aid drinker. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I agree. Orange Kool-Aid drinker. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. Is that it? Yeah, X6339. Let me know what you think. 1, if you think Elon Musk is complicit in the Epstein crimes. 2, if you think he isn't. D. Henry, let me know what you think. Francis, let me know what you think. Yeah. Cheese, let me know what you think, Cheese. Let me know what you think, Cheese. If J6 was a Fed op, who was their executive officer in the White House? Let me know what you think. Was Elon Musk complicit? Leroy, was Elon Musk complicit in the Epstein crimes? Yeah. Let me know. I just want to see. Yeah, see, a lot of these people just disappeared. You see that? It's like they don't want to answer your questions, but they want to be in the open chat, though. You know what I'm saying? They don't like answering clear questions. All right, so let's continue.
Replied, "Always space for you." It's unclear if that or the other visit took place. Representatives for Musk did not immediately respond to a request for comment about the new emails. And Musk in 2019 told Vanity Fair, quote, "He tried repeatedly to get me to visit his island. I declined." Now, Musk, you'll recall, famously posted this during his beef with the president this year, quote, "Time to drop the really big bomb. Trump is in the Epstein."
Look, Andy, I don't have to prove it. I asked what you think. You're entitled to, don't you realize that? You don't realize the difference, Andy? What you think you don't have to prove what you think. I mean, just because you think it doesn't mean it's true, but I'm asking you what you think. What do you suspect? Very simple, Andy. Do you suspect it or not? That's all. Come on, man. This is the English language, y'all. Let me see. YouTube is shadow banning my comments. Well, maybe they are. You better watch what you write, man. Come on now. It's not shadow banning anybody else's. Maybe you up to something. But look, DE0571. Put a 1 or a 2. They can't shadow ban that. Now, so put a 1 in the chat if you think Elon Musk is complicit. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't think he's complicit in the Epstein files. Very simple. Let's go, Brandon. Put a 1 in the chat if you think Elon Musk is complicit with Epstein in some way, or the trafficking or something. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't. That's all I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? It's really simple. Don't worry. The chat is open. I mean, you know, my only beef is not what people's opinions are. My beef is when I suspect people are bullshitting and not standing on what they actually say. That's where my issue is. I'm aware there's people that don't believe in the First Amendment. I'm aware that there's people that, you know, don't give a fuck about, you know, people's human and civil rights. I understand that. But if you're acting like you're someone else that you're not while saying it, that's the problem I have. You see what I mean? Like, I don't want somebody creating a civil war up in my chat, you know, able to induce one who's not American citizen, because we got a problem in the U.S. So I don't want any non-Americans pretending like they're Americans. You see, so that's what my real issue is. You know, the other people that are real Americans and are just disagree, we can have a conversation if you want it to be a real conversation. But if you're going to be fake about it, I don't want your presence. That's what my whole thing about it is. So let's see here. Let's go, Brandon. Did you let me know whether you think Elon Musk is complicit in the Epstein files? Yes or no? If you think he's complicit, let's go, Brandon. Put a 1 in the chat. If you don't, put a 2. We're not talking about Democrats right now. We're talking about Elon Musk. He's not a Democrat. So let's stay on topic until we get to the next part. We talked about Hillary yesterday. We talked about Hillary and the baby exploits yesterday. So don't worry about it. You know what I mean? We'll get to the other people as they come naturally. Okay. All right. So there we go. That gives everybody an idea about, you know, how to qualify certain statements they make now. So let's go.
Minutes later.
Also, let's go, Brandon. Let's go, Brandon. What state do you live in, and who is your healthcare provider? That's also the question I'm asking people when they, you know, let me see. Who put a 2 in there? I want to know also. Let's see. Michelle, what state do you live in, and who is your healthcare provider? Or is that Michael Campbell? Yeah. I'm just curious about that. Then it's all good. Then we will know enough. Let's play some more.
He followed up with, quote, "Mark this post for the future. The truth will come out." And keeping him honest, that's kind of hard to do. He seems to have taken the post down along with the first.
Yeah, he said 2. Let's go, Brandon said 2. That means he doesn't believe Elon Musk is complicit. The billionaire that begged Epstein to be on it. When is the most wildest party going to be? I want to be there, Epstein. He's like, no, he's not complicit. No. But everybody else, 42 Democrats are complicit, though. I get it. You know, there we have it. I mean, and I'm going to be honest with you. This should not be an issue about what political party you are. I don't give a fuck. Anybody that's on there, I say they should be exposed. Any and everybody. Isn't that what release the files means? Isn't that what release the Epstein files means? Only redact victims? Isn't that what that means? Doesn't that mean I don't care if they're Republican or Democrat? I need to know who they are, so release the files. Isn't that what that means? So what is it that Trump doesn't get about that? What is it that Pam Bondi doesn't get about that? What is it that MAGA doesn't get about that? Don't you want to know for yourself? Don't you want to know everybody? What's the fastest way of knowing who's in the Epstein files and who's not? Releasing them, right? Isn't that the fastest way? Or do you want it to be slower? You want it to take longer? You want it to wait till after the September 26th? I mean, November 2026 elections? Or you want it to wait 4 years till there's another president? What do you want it to be? You know? So in my mind, release the files and only redact the victims means you want to know everybody. Republican, Democrat, independent, billionaire, poor person, ratchet ass golf maintenance man, the motherfucking pool guy. You want to know everybody. You see what I mean? And not releasing them means you're covering the shit up in my book. So, I mean, now you can look at it as it's a Republican president covering it up. Yeah, he's a Republican president covering up, but he's also a motherfucker that's in the files covering it up. So you can look at it like that too, right? Now, but he has this motherfucker has the power to get it out, and he ain't getting it out. So that's why Trump is getting all the attention. If Trump didn't want all the attention on him, if Pam Bondi didn't want all the attention on Trump, if Kash Patel didn't want all the attention on Trump, they would release the files. Right? Isn't that obvious? But some people don't think so. You know, some people don't think so.
One. Also in the files, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick, who famously said he'd broken ties with Epstein in 2005, vowing to, quote, never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Look, this is a funny thing. Look, Taz Ghana, he said, what is it Biden didn't get about that? There's no new files. Well, why aren't you exposing what Biden didn't do? Why aren't you doing it? Why don't you be better? What is it you're keeping a secret about? What is it you don't want to know about Biden? Is Biden in the files? Is Biden's friends in the files? Why don't we expose them, right? Trump, let's expose all Biden's friends in the files. Please release the files now, please, Trump. Kash Patel, we want to expose all Democrats and all Biden's friends. We want to expose Kamala's friends, Obama's friends. Can you please do us a favor and release the files and stop taking long? God damn it. We're tired of this. It's our fucking tax money that's housing the files, that's paying your job. Can you fucking help us prosecute Obama? Please, God damn it. Give us something. Give us something so we can prosecute Biden, please. I find it so suspicious. We can't get nothing to prosecute Biden from these motherfuckers. Like, can you give us some red meat, please? What the fuck did he do? Give us something so we can go and get rid of Kamala forever. Can we get some dirt on Kamala? And they're like, nope, we ain't going to give you no dirt on Obama. I'm not going to give you any dirt on Kamala. I ain't going to give you any fucking dirt on Biden. Zero. In fact, I'm not even going to. They keeping it forever. It's like, even if you hated Kamala, they ain't helping you. How are they helping MAGA right now? How are they fucking helping MAGA? We want to hate Obama. Can you release something so we can fucking hate him? God damn it. Let us know. Nothing. Just, they like, ain't nobody here but us chickens, boss. What the fuck? And meanwhile, they don't want to talk about Howard Lutnick's fucking ass. They don't want to talk about nobody that came on record and lied. Elon Musk said, I never been to that island. Man, he asked me to go to the island. And I was like, hell no, man, this psychopath, I ain't going there. And it turns out he's in the email. When's your best day? When's the wildest party? He said the exact opposite. When's your wildest party, Elon? When's your wildest party, Epstein? I want to go that day. Then Lutnick is sitting up there using his wife's name in vain. I was there. I went next door. It was my wife. We went next door. Blah, 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 blah. And then I told my wife what he said. And we walked away and said, I will never see that man again. Wrong. Lie. They don't want to know about that. They want to know about Biden did that. How come Biden ain't released the files? Well, how come your dumbass ain't really? Your own president is not fucking releasing the files on Biden. Why is that? God damn, you still capping for a president that doesn't give a fuck about you? Like, this is beyond ridiculous at this point. This is beyond ridiculous. You know,
Lutnick or his wife, Allison, were in touch with Epstein as recently as 2012. In an email from Allison Lutnick in November of that
I think he called him Nutlick. Didn't he call him? Is that his real name? Lutnick? I think he called him Nutlick.
Person ever again. The files, though, reveal Lutnick or his wife, Allison, were
Lutnick. No, okay. It just sounds so much alike.
in touch with Epstein as recently as 2012. In an email from Allison Lutnick in November of that year, she writes,
I keep hearing Nutlick. It's like, I will never hear Lutnick again. It's just
2005, vowing to, quote, never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again. The files, though, reveal Lutnick or his wife, Allison, were in touch with Epstein as recently as 2012. In an email from Allison Lutnick in November of that year, she writes, quote, we are looking forward to visiting you, adding, we are traveling on a yacht called Excellence, and I am CCing the captain.
Oh, my God. Why is it always the exact opposite of what they say? I went there with my wife. He lied on his wife's name. He lied on his wife's name openly on 60 goddamn minutes. And now people are finding out he did the exact opposite. We are looking forward to visiting you. I mean, how more of plain language can you use? He may as well wrote, can you Can you tie up a little girl for me and put her in the room next door to the last time? He may as well wrote some shit like that because it's so obvious he's out here. He's been busted and shit. He made it so plain. We are looking forward to visiting you. We are traveling on a yacht called Excellence, and I am seeing the captain right now. I'm seeing the captain. Head that way towards Epstein Island, goddammit. This is just damning. This is damning. Now we got to hear more from Elon Musk, man. Okay, let's go.
A spokesperson for the Commerce Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. So a lot to talk about tonight. Starting us off, CNN Chief Legal Affairs correspondent Paula Reed. She's been going through the documents all day. So what stands out to you from the documents you've reviewed so far?
So the document that really stands out at this point is this list of accusations against President Trump, because the FBI compiled this list last summer, and this is a lot of the kind of information that investigators gather when they're looking at whether charges should potentially be pursued. For example, they're looking at unverified tips. Some include secondhand information that came through a tip line. It appears the FBI followed up on some tips. At least one was found to be unverified. But this is the kind of information they collect but do not usually make public if there are no charges brought in a case. Now, of course, President Trump has always denied any wrongdoing connected to Epstein. But there are a lot of questions that are raised here. First of all, why did the FBI make this list of accusations specifically relevant to President Trump, though President Bill Clinton was also mentioned in there? The document was also taken down at least twice today. Last time I checked, Anderson, it was back up. But this list of allegations will likely prompt more questions for the Justice Department and the White House, even though this release is, of course, part of an effort to try to tamp all this down.
It's very simple. Who took the reports? Who took the reports? What's their opinion? Who talked to these people that said these things? Where did they get it? How did they handle it? And I mean, at some point, don't you have an obligation to see? This is a normal question that's going to come up when someone sends you this kind of information. The question there then becomes, so what did you do about it? What did you investigate about it? If someone tells you Hillary Clinton drank blood on Epstein Island and I saw it myself, what do you write back? Do you request an interview, or do you just table it to the side and don't write the person back? What other communications are there? The follow-up, what's going on here? And those are the natural questions that come up. Who received these claims, and how were they processed? And you would have to, that's all in the files, yo. It's all in the remaining files. All of that is in the remaining files. And if it's not in the Epstein files, it's in the FBI files. It's there, and yeah. It's going to be interesting to find out,
Trump in the Epstein files. The Justice Department released.
Maybe Kamala told him not to release it. Maybe Biden, maybe Obama told him, don't release it. Can we find out? Can you let us know? For the MAGA people, they want to know, did Kamala hold that back the files? How come? Let us find out who gave the order to hold back the files, to not investigate, to not do anything else. I mean, just release the files so we can know.
Millions of new pages of documents from the Epstein files, and among them is a list that Trump's own Justice Department compiled. His own Justice Department. This list details a list of sexual assault allegations.
It's his own Justice Department that compiled these lists. This is fucking crazy. This is crazy. Somebody say, why would Kamala? I don't know, but I'm just trying to appease the MAGA people. Like, come on, release the files. We want to know the dirt on Kamala Harris and Obama and Biden. Release the files, goddammit. They must be in there. Release them all so we can know. But so far, there's no Kamala leaks. That must be a conspiracy. Go and find out why they're not leaking the Kamala information and the Biden information and the Obama, and go get them and put those informations out for the world to see. Look, MAGA don't even want to know. They're not saying, release the Biden files. Give us some info. They're not even wanting to know. They don't even want to know.
All this down. Trump in the Epstein files. The Justice Department releasing millions of new pages of documents from the Epstein files, and among them is a list.
You have to trick MAGA people into releasing the files. That's why I'm turning it over to Obama and shit. Obama's in those files, y'all. Did y'all know that? I seen it myself. There's an allegation. And Kamala, yes, sir. Kamala too, and Biden. Yeah, You didn't know they was in those files? The reason why Trump ain't releasing it is because he also works for Biden and Obama. Did you know that? That's why Trump ain't releasing it. It's not because Trump did anything. It's because his bosses are Kamala and Obama. They told him don't release it. That's what it is.
That Trump's own Justice Department compiled. His own Justice Department. This list details a list of sexual assault allegations related to the president. Now, this list was released this morning as part of this document dump, but then suddenly disappeared from the Justice Department's website. That was noticed, called out, that got posted again. The administration claims that snafu was because the site got overloaded. Now, many of the allegations appear to have come from unverified tips. Some are incredibly graphic and disgusting and upsetting, frankly. The files also today released included a complaint from a woman who accused Trump of raping her in 1994 when she was 13 years old.
No. Look at this. Excuse me, chums. What state do you live in, and who's your health care provider? Here we go again, trying to, distract. Let me distract. And I'm just being funny when I'm trying to distract from the obvious by mentioning Obama and Kamala. Listen. He's talking about you're right. No. I know I'm right, but you're wrong. Okay. So let me just say that, chumps. Nobody had the files for no, don't be telling me VA. That's bullshit. Don't be telling me VA. That's bullshit. I already got wind that people are now saying the VA so they don't have to name a real health provider. In any case, VA got shortages also now because of Trump. But in any case, let's be honest. They didn't have the files for 5 years. Nobody had the files for 5 years. This goes back to the 80s, to the 80s. You see what I mean? So plenty of people had files. Trump had the files more than anybody else because he's been in office for 8 goddamn years. Maybe Obama had them, right? Just as long. But Trump can't complain about anybody. No MAGA person can complain about why the files are not being released and blame it on a Democrat, because Trump had just as much time as anyone else and did basically nothing. You see what I mean? And he's mentioned in the files himself. You have, where is Obama mentioned? Where is Kamala mentioned? Where is Biden mentioned in these files? Where are they mentioned? And if you think they did something, right? If you think they did something, then why don't you want Trump to release the information on them? If you think they're complicit, then why doesn't Trump show and prove? He's the president. Pam Bondi's the head of the Justice Department. She could prove that they were complicit. Why doesn't she do that? Why doesn't Kash Patel prove that Obama, Kamala, and Biden were complicit? Why doesn't she do that? That's the issue right there. So you can't keep making excuses for why he can't show that and prove that when he's got the Supreme Court backing him. He's got the Senate backing him, or he had it. He had Congress backing him. He done made a fool out of himself so much that's slipping away too. But the bottom line is they're still trying to back him. They haven't impeached him yet. So you know that their argument that they would love to be able to prove complicity of the Democrats, the head Democrats, Obama, Biden, and Kamala. So why haven't they done it? That's the basic, obvious question. Yeah. And the only thing I could say is that they ain't doing it because it's not possible to prove it because it's not true. They're
According
not
to
complicit.
The complaint, the woman identified as Jane
Trump is. That's why it's so easy to find his name there.
Doe claims, quote, Epstein was angry that Trump was the one to take Doe's virginity and then went on to rape Doe.
Damn. Epstein was angry that Trump was the one to take, blank's virginity and then went on to rape her.
That's just disgusting and depraved. It goes on in graphic detail.
Warren, what state do you live in and who is your health care provider? And don't give me that bullshit about vet. Okay, come on now.
Descriptions do mirror the allegations of Jane Doe made in her 2016 lawsuit against Trump, a lawsuit that was eventually dropped. Now, at the time, Trump denied the allegations, his attorney telling Politico it is categorically untrue, it is completely frivolous, it is baseless, it is irresponsible. I won't even discuss the merits because it gives it credibility it doesn't deserve. And Trump's DOJ, again, stressing, quote, this production may include fake or falsely submitted images, documents, or videos, as everything that was sent to the FBI by the public was included in the production that is responsive to the act, referring to the act of Congress forcing them to release these files, of which this chunk they're releasing, of course, is a month after the deadline. And while Trump is not accused of any wrongdoing in relation to Epstein at this time, he has fought vehemently and obsessively against the release.
Okay, I got you, Warren. DC and none just been staying. There you go. I got you. I appreciate that. No, it's all good. You know, I just I appreciate you being real about that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, don't get me wrong, people have the right to support politically whoever they want, and people can argue about it and debate it. But all I want is for people to be real about who they are up in this motherfucker when they're making these arguments. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm a simple person. I'm going to vote for the people that advocate for healthcare, education, decent wage jobs, having the right to a decent wage job and fair housing. That's who I'm going to support. As long as I don't hear anybody talking about those things, universal education or more access to education, more access to healthcare. And really, I don't even see why why Dems can't even just go universal. Right. But in any case, I'm voting for the people that's thinking and talking about the humble people of the United States of America. That's who I'm going to vote for. As long as they're giving tax breaks to billionaires and all of this shit, I ain't fucking with it. You know what I mean? And everything else is important, is relevant. These Epstein files are relevant. But damn, I mean, I don't understand why anyone would want their elected officials being blackmailed. Like, I don't understand that. And it's clear that as long as they're hiding these Epstein files, the American people will never know who's being blackmailed. You know what I mean? And that's what I don't get. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of them are being blackmailed, and a lot of that is tied up in the Epstein files. You know, there's a lot of people that are mentioned, and some people are making claims that ain't even in the Epstein files. You see what I mean? Like serious allegations. So I think releasing those files, you know, I try to be at all times cool shades here. But if you're in DC, I got you, man. I understand that shit. I'm from DC, fam. Yeah, I'm from Northeast DC. Yeah, no question about it, man. And 15th is C Northeast, if you know about that. I grew up in I'm a 1970s kid, so I grew up in the 80s and 90s on that side of town. So, yeah, but I understand exactly what you mean. If you know what I'm saying, I got you 100%. Peace out to everybody from DC too, by the way. Yeah, because, you know, we got a way of doing things where we ain't got a whole lot of games and a lot of time for bullshit. You know what I'm saying? So you feel me. So I appreciate that. Let's go on now. Oh, but you ex-military? Oh, okay. Respect to you. I appreciate that too. I appreciate that. Thanks for letting me know your story too, man. I appreciate that.
Files.
Let's go.
Lashing out at reporters who have pressed him for a long, long time on why his Justice Department has been so slow to release anything.
Yeah. I grew up 15th C, man. That's just down the street from Trinidad and Kenilworth. You know, well, it's not down the street. It's across. It's on the other side from Kenilworth, but it's around the corner from Trinidad. I'm sure if you grew up in the same time period, then we probably know some of the same people from around the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? Maryland Avenue and all that shit, Bladensburg Road. You know what I'm saying?
Nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. You just keep going on the Epstein files. And what the Epstein is a Democrat hoax. We have nothing to do with Epstein. The Democrats do. All of his friends were Democrats.
All his friends were Democrats. Do you believe his lying ass? I mean, at this point, it's like, I mean, hey, I don't give a goddamn who's a Democrat up inside to release the files. Come on, man, what is it about? But when Trump says it, it just kind of makes you think, that's probably not true. They're all Democrats, y'all. They're all Democrats. Okay, Trump, let's hear about it.
Quiet. When you talk about the Epstein hoax, it's just a hoax. The whole Epstein thing is a Democrat hoax.
Joining us now is Virginia Democratic Congressman James Walkinshaw, who sits on the House Oversight Committee. So, Congressman, the ranking Democrat on the Oversight Committee, Congressman Robert Garcia, released this blistering statement after the files were released, saying, quote, in part, "We are demanding the names of Epstein's co-conspirators and the men and pedophiles who abused women and girls." Do you accept the government's explanation for the redactions they've made?
Yo, facts, Gary. It's more about the rich and the elite. You know, this most Republicans and voters are simple people, not rich. You know what I mean? And it's the same. And most Democrat voters are working class people. You know what I'm saying? And I think this is more about elitists in the U.S. and not so much about Democrats and Republicans. Although I think a lot of Republicans get race baited in the U.S. and race baited into voting for elitists. You know what I'm saying? The elitists in the right wing use divisive means to gain votes. And I think a lot of the MAGA people need to work on that. And not MAGA people. A lot of the people that voted for Trump and vote Republican need to think about what social programs do they have in mind for your tax dollars for you. I think it's all about tax dollars, and we give the wealthy people a lot of shit, a lot of help. The average American does that, and they don't seem to have a way of giving it back. You know what I mean? I think it's problematic in the U.S. You know, I think it's very problematic. You know, no matter what party you're from, the taxpayers, the dollars that the taxpayers pay should be used to help the taxpayers in the real situations that they live in. And it shouldn't be judged harsh as it gets judged, you know. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I live in a country that has universal health care. I'm from D.C., but I live in Copenhagen, Denmark. Everybody has health care here. Anytime you want to go to your doctor, you make an appointment and you go. If you need an operation, they sign you up to get the operation. Anytime you want to take a new class, it's paid for 100%. There's no fee. It's paid for. You might even get a salary to go to take a class. You know what I mean? And that's what's done for the taxpayer dollars here. You know, the U.S., we got way more money than most countries on earth, and they still haven't figured out how to just make. Now, keep in mind, the taxpayers pay for the military. They pay for everybody's salary in the military, everybody's salary in the government. So what about healthcare and education? Why doesn't the tax dollars go to that? So I just think it's something Americans need to figure out, man. Life is long. I know I came here in my 30s. So in 5 years, that will be half of my life I've been here. The other half I spent in D.C., growing up in D.C., and then I got to travel around to like New York, you know, live in New York a couple of years because of the arts and things like that. But half of my life was spent in one culture, and the other half was spent abroad. So I know the differences well, and I just don't understand why Americans don't think that all kids should be able to go to school. All people, all mothers, all children, all fathers. I don't understand why they don't think all American citizens should have the right to health care. I don't understand it. And they're going to try to explain this over and over and over why it's not possible. I just think it's fucking wrong, you know? I just think it's wrong.
And I mean, look, the Trump administration and the Department of Justice has slow-rolled this release at every turn. Today, they released 3 million of the 6 million documents we know they have. We know they have 6 million because they said it. They released 50% of the documents, and the 50% we have today are heavily, heavily redacted. So they continue to cover up the full truth that's in the file. So we're going to continue to push the Oversight Committee's investigation. Will continue throughout this Congress and into the next Congress, I suspect. We're not going to stop until we get the transparency that the survivors are demanding.
I mean, some of the claims in some of these files are I mean, pretty bizarre and don't sound very credible. In your view, should the general public, what should the general public take away from these files? How are people supposed to know what's credible and what isn't?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely fair. And, you know, there are a number of uncorroborated or perhaps unverified allegations against President Trump there. And I think what I would say is all of that deserves additional scrutiny. Some of them have been revealed publicly in the past and perhaps have limited credibility, but all of them should be explored. You know, the Oversight Committee in the coming weeks, we're going to be deposing Jeffrey Epstein's accountant, his attorneys, the attorneys for his estate. So we're going to continue to ask questions. And I think this release, although limited, not what the law requires, this release will provide information to guide our questioning as we move forward.
Among the
All right, let me see something now. There was another victim that was been announced or spoke out. Let me see in legacy media. Then I'm gonna get out of here. I heard it's a snowstorm in the U.S. right about now on the East Coast. Yeah, my homeboy told me he was caught actually on the ice, getting his truck out of the ice yesterday.
Annie and her
But yeah, damn, we don't have no snow. The snow cleared up over here, man. You barely get snow over here actually. You barely. It's been cold here, but that's only been for like a week and a half. Outside of that, I didn't even need a winter jacket until like a week and a half ago. Like crazy, right? But in any case, let me see here. Let's see what this eyewitness said about Epstein.
Epstein's abuse. She's now a licensed psychologist.
You know what's so shameful is a lot of people don't believe these women. I mean, not a lot of people. I'm not saying it's more than don't. Most logical people believe the women, right? But there's still a lot of people that don't believe them, and we've seen this kind of play out with like let's say Puff Daddy, for example. A lot of people didn't believe shit people said about Puff Daddy, right? But I mean, I worked in the music. I was in the music industry for a little bit myself with some of my homeboys from DC, as a matter of fact, up in New York, right? And you get, once you're in the music industry, you see that people kind of move differently in their own way. You know, everybody doesn't move the same. And I know at that time, Bad Boy was just coming up, and because they was new, and our company was the biggest independent company at the time when Bad Boy was just starting, right? That was called Palace Records, right? So a lot of people that in New York, they know about Palace Records. Maybe Fab Five Freddy was there at one time after the original A&R executive officer stepped off, right? The original person that curated for it, that's really who I'm more associated with my group. Fab Five Freddy came in later after that dude stepped off, Jerome, right? But you know, you hear things back then and you see things, and you know, we actually used the same studios, Quad Studios, by the way, you know, the same exact studio. So you would see some of those people in Tupac and people, just different folks from Bad Boy and different artists, right? And and a lot of them had other artists that was associated with them that maybe want to get on Palace Records too. When you're looking for deals, you shop your deals in New York, right? But you know for a fact that some of this stuff goes on. You know, people abuse power in the music industry. That's a fact. And some people will let folks use power. Some people will go along with that shit. And other people, when they get a sense that you ain't going for none of that shit, they kind of leave you alone. They kind of put you off in the other way, you know, and they don't want to. Yo, I see you. Peace to you. I'm about to be out of here too. I appreciate everybody for coming out, by the way. But so me, I know what some things kind of can happen, right? And I believe sexual harassment is wrong. I don't believe any woman working in the industry should have to be harassed at work, or any man for that matter. You should be at work able to do your job without some executive officer wanting to get something from you, like, period. But I know the music industry has never really been like that. The music industry is a rough industry. And so when I hear people like this, I believe them. You know, now there might be a fraction that, you know, maybe their stories don't add up. But when you get so many people saying over and over and over, talking about personal behavior over and over, I just don't understand why folks just don't say, nah, something is there that's not right. And trust me, it's not just these kind of abuses that go on. It's other abuses, slave contracts. Why would you ever be cool with people getting slave contracts? Why? Why would anybody be okay with that? Obviously, these people are young impressionable that go into the music industry, most of them never had a real job before, know nothing about music contracts, zero. Even though they get a lawyer, they don't know that the lawyer might know the company people and might be in on the scam. They don't know. A lot of times they give you your lawyer. You see what I mean? A lot of times they give you your manager. Straight up. That's what happens to a lot of people. And a lot of times people find out later, and then you get in jams, you find out that, hey, man, they studying people like you. They find out, hey, do you like to party too? Do you like drugs? And then they're going to make sure the drug dealers are all around you, giving you all kinds of drugs so that when you go broke, they can buy up your publishing for cheap. This is scamming going on there. So you gotta understand how that shit works to protect yourself. So I know a lot of people couldn't peep game like that and fall for things like that. So I know that a lot of those victims, things really happen. But when I listen to Epstein, it's even worse. It's like, God damn, you still don't see, like, you still can't see these people went after kids, man. And kids are even more impressionable than goddamn adults. You know, these are even more impressionable people. And somebody said, all you got to do is go talk to the dealer. Shit, whatever, dude. Let me tell you, he the same age as me, motherfucker. He used to come down to D.C. when I was a DJ. I was never a fan of Puff Daddy. I don't give a fuck about Puff Daddy. I tell you that one straight up. You know what I'm saying? He went to Howard. I don't give a fuck. I'm from D.C., okay? We don't, I go to some of the parties. I got some friends that went to Howard from all, you know, different parts of the country, but motherfucker, you know, really now. Yo, nah, I ain't with that. So, you know, it's like a lot of people come down into DC, and, you know, it's some little things about that, how that works. But you know, this thing, I don't think a lot of people would even fuck with Diddy. I'm gonna be honest with you. Not the kind of people I fuck with. We not impressed by that. The kind of people I grew up with, we not impressed by that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? In fact, a DC person would call that shit Bama shit. You know, quick. Like, seriously, you know, I'm just telling you that we have a term for that, Bama shit, right? And just because you might roll in certain ways doesn't mean you down with all that shit, you know? And, you know, that music industry shit that Puff Daddy was on is a hell of a goddamn ride. And it's not for everybody. You know, everybody doesn't leave there fine. A lot of people leave there bruised and battered one way or the other. But in that case, I have empathy for people that get caught up in bad situations and don't understand things like that. You shouldn't have to. It's basically a criminal enterprise. So this is different, but this is on an international scale. This is dealing with the billionaires, the main folks that are into weapons making. They're into owning media companies, owning CNN, owning Fox News. These people are all into owning everything that runs everything. These are the richest people in the country. Every grocery store you go to, all of this stuff. So it has even more serious implications. And when you start hearing over and over the people saying the same things that happen to them over and over and over, at some point you have to start considering, is some of that shit true? You can't just keep hearing more little people come out and say, yeah, man, same thing happened to me. And you just like going to cut it off again. And they give you so much detail that keeps adding up. And it's just like, no, like, fuck all that, man. So something's not right. So yeah, you see that Bama's here. That's what people call it. We call rap music Bama music, like straight up. Well, I listen to rap. I like rap. But when it comes to the difference between rap and go-go in DC and New York, you've listened to too much of that rap. We call it Bama music. You know what I'm saying? But having said that, we the same people, same East Coast, same history. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't nothing there and shit with that. You know, go-go and rap music are like in the same family tree. To be honest, go-go is like the original version of rap that stayed live, that never went to the studio and got, you know, made into something you could, you know, a few people could make millions of dollars off of. It stayed live music and live participation. It stayed that way. Rap music became refined and went into the studio and condensed. You know what I'm saying? So people that know the history of that and shit, you know, will appreciate what I'm saying. But Oh yeah, yeah, go-go all day, man. Go-go is a whole nother. It's an ethnic thing, you know. Ethnic Washingtonians, we know what go-go is, and we love go-go music, and we love it. We love the fact that we even had people that bothered to create it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what was in their mind when they created that? You know what I'm saying? There's some real shit there. You know what I'm saying? God bless all the go-go. Chuck Brown, shit. God bless Trouble Funk, Red Essence, everything. Even the early bands, goddamn Pump Blenders, and you know who else? It's a whole list of them. Damn, do I have to even go over the go-go bands? Who else was it? Let me see here. Matter of fact, I'm about to go, but I'm gonna leave it on this, yo. How many of y'all, since you and somebody from DC, how many of y'all know about this? Right? You know about this book, Pump Me Up, DC Subculture, right? It's done by the same people who did the Cool Disco Dan doc, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm actually up inside of this book, me and my homeboys, and we also up in the documentary, you know. So it's a lot. It's so many class band. Who else? Little Benny and the Masters. I mean, come on. But there's more even back from the 80s and early 90s. Go-go really used to crank. There was a lot of bands then. Who else? It was so many. It was so many bands. It's hard to even name them all off the top. But yeah, if you ever been to a go-go, you ain't going to go to another. A real live go-go is probably the livest shit you will ever, musical event you will ever see in your life, you know. So, but in any case, I appreciate everybody coming through. I appreciate that, Warren. Good to see, come across somebody else from DC in here from my time period. You know what I'm saying? And, big up to everybody else that joined. Shit, listen, man, at the end of the day, I'm about sharing, and I want to share what it's like over here in the EU so people in the US can know the difference between the truth and the lies that are told in the media about what's going on in this place. Universal health care is possible in the US. Universal education is possible in the US. If it's possible somewhere else, it's even more possible in the U.S. And that's one of the things I want to translate, because I know the benefits, the difference in it. I'm able to calm down a little bit as a person. I'm able to be a little more free, man, because people are treated a little more fairly just with the basics. I mean, access to education can do a lot. Access to healthcare can do a lot. You see what I mean? And it's, if you really think you are smarter or better, then why not give everybody the same opportunity to prove it? You see what I'm saying? So on that note, I'm out. I'll be back later on tonight. So I got another stream in about, 8 hours from now? Yeah, 10 p.m. And then I'll be back at the normal one at 3 a.m. again. You know, so I got 2 more coming up. The next one will be about 18 hours from now. Not the next one. The second one will be 18 hours, and the next one will be like 8 hours from now. So I appreciate everybody for coming out again, as always, man. Without you all, I wouldn't be doing this. And yeah, hopefully I'm doing some good for some people. Hopefully I am. You know, that's what I hope at the end of the day. And I know sometimes I might have a short fuse with some things, but you saw Warren, shit. You saw how me and Warren hashed that shit out quick, because you know what I'm saying? It's like he understands where I'm coming from, and I understand how he spoke. I get it 100%. So that allowed me to differentiate what types of. Also the same thing with Chums. Shit, Chums came real. You know what I'm saying? I thought Chums was on some troll shit for real at first, and you know, but then he let me know that actually, you know, and so there we have it. There we got it. As long as we got real people having a real conversation, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So in the troll world, you know, we got people that ain't trying to have a real conversation. They trying to confuse everybody else to make sure nobody has a real conversation, because those are the true enemies. You know, so be who you are. Just be real about it. So on that one, I'm out, y'all. Everybody have a good day. I'm going to catch y'all 8 of those of you that can catch the next stream. I appreciate y'all. 1. Come on now. Let's go. Oh, my computer is slowed down today. Why is that doing that? I don't get it. What's happening? It doesn't want me to log out, y'all. It doesn't want me to go. All right. I appreciate everybody. I'm gonna see y'all in a few. I think it's good now. It should be good. It don't want me to log out. Come on now, let me log out. All right, there we go. I catch up with everybody. Peace. One.
I'm having feelings I never felt in my life. It's hard to explain what I'm going through is new. I'm good looking, clean up well, but without this fine young little lady, I'm still in hell. She's brown skinned, Eritrean. Love every second of the time that we spend. We're good friends, there's no need to pretend. The way she walks and moves her hips, those smooth curves, I just love to kiss. It's Sunday morning, make her breakfast in bed, bring her a latte and chill up in the spread, and manifest all the thoughts in my head. The comforter of my life. You know what? She may not know it. I want her to be my wife. It was my fondest wish to stay the night. She's doing fine on her own, about to buy a home. Me, I'm working out some shit, but I've grown. I'm working hard to keep things right. Focus on my music so we can have a life outside of the system and the bright lights. She feeds me juice and curry when I'm hungry. Caress me on my body, it feels lovely. A lot of pain that I took on in my life. I need you to make it right. Need you to make it right. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right? I wanna make love tonight. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right? I wanna make love tonight. Brown eyes, caramel skin, beautiful face, where do I begin? Your hips, they keep making me excited. Your breasts, just how I like it. If you're the key to my life, then will you be there for me? All I'm asking is will you trust in me? It's complicated, but I wanna do it right. If we keep true to the love, we can make life. Your destiny is to be with me. I'm waiting for you to be one with me. Your soulmate, I would do anything for you. Baby girl, it's you I adore. Word life, you are my life. I won't deal with nothing that's strife. We're gonna spend all our time together, me and you, girl, forever. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right? I wanna make love tonight. The feelings I'm feeling, it's real in my life. I know you're something special, want you to be my wife. All I need to know is will you treat me right? I wanna make love tonight. Tonight. I wrote this one cause I love you and I want you to love me too, girl.
I just want to love. Just love the way you love. Love the way I love.
I love you.
I just want to love. Just love the way you love. I love the way I love you.
You my TRL, I'm looking at you. The look in my eye, you can tell that I wanna know you, better yet show you that I treat you right, this I owe you. The feelings I feel are not obscene. It's no secret I'll go in public and scream. I'll LOV you, my baby girl. The feeling's so true, we can make our own world. We were made for each other, I feel like you love. We had a child, we be father and mother. There ain't no other I'd rather spend my time with. This love can endure anything that splits. If it wasn't legit, you wouldn't hear it. I could never be confused by your spirit. We just take it still and roll it cause we both know what we do. I'm in LOV with you.
I just want to love.
Baby girl,
love the way you love.
Love me.
Love the way I love.
I love you.
I just want to.
Hey.
I want to love.
Oh,
love the way you love.
Love me.
Love the way I love you.
love you, girl. Just relax, 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 just relax. Hold your hand when we in town. Protect this love, even in the underground. Joy to God, eating brunch on a blanket. This God that granted us these days, I thank it. It's no wonder why I'm comfortable with you. It's all the simple things for me that you do. When you rub my back, it's feeling so nice. Much more than reunion and ice. It's about the kindness I can see in your face, and the way it's at the right time and place. No other woman I'd rather spend my time. It's this love is so fresh I can taste. I just want to love the way you love the way I love you. I just want to love the way you love. It's about you. Love the way I love you. I love you. Just relax, 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 just relax. L-O-V-U, my G-R-L. What? It's like that. I know how to see a whack MC when he bustin', but I just back away real cool, no fussin'. I'd rather go kicking in the streets with the bums and use the knowledge to collect what? Some funds. Open a non-profit and build a damn school. And this is the story of how a great king rules. There's many that claim to know the local demographic, but don't have the nerve to tell you the truth. It's tragic, but I do, so sit back and let me spit this shit to you. You feel better when I spit this shit to you, despite the system trying to clamp down on the people. People will learn how to stand up to evil. Not evil that's across the globe, that's too far, but evil that lies in their own backyard. And fighting, it's not an option, they can't win. The government, it's not supposed to represent sin, but then again they do, and that's a problem. So let's go down and figure out how to solve them. It's not fun being a rapper that can't speak, but we do, yes, and plus we make fat beats.